So, welcome to the show. We got another very special guest with us today. This is actually one of my best friend's dads. And what's funny is I always just call you Brad's dad.
Yeah.
So it took me forever to remember your name. I'm like, what's his name? And he's like, Barry. I'm like, Barry? And then they say it again. I'm like, it's not Barry. It is Barry, right? Barry
Yeah.
Fisher. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, it's Barry. But I even have you in my phone, Brad's dad. So when you call me, I'm like, oh, it's Brad's dad. Like, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
It's not like I see Brad and I'm like, hey, I saw Barry yesterday. I'm like, oh, no, I saw your dad yesterday. So it's
Right.
like for the first, I don't know how, I've known you a good couple of years now.
Oh, at least, yeah.
But it took like 3 years for me to be like, what's your dad's name? You know what I mean? You're always just been Brad's dad.
That's funny.
Doesn't sound like an a-hole saying that, but you get the point.
No, I know because there's, I always refer to people, that Brad know as, Brad's friend Steve, or you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I got to think about it.
Your
it's
buddy.
Kaufman. It's
right, right,
yeah, right.
I'm just like Brad's dad. Like,
That's because they're, I'm the second. I'm the second person everybody figures out.
right, right. But I had an incident where I was in when I left like State College. I was living up there. You remember that?
Yeah.
There was a bunch of other guys we were buddies with, and everybody went by a nickname. And one guy's name was Rocket, and the other one was Nappy. And I don't even know how they got the name, and they nicknamed me Stove because it was like in a movie, and it was actually Bridesmaids or something. The flight attendant lady and the chick was drunk, and she called him Stove, and his name was Steve. So they started calling me that, and I didn't know why, and I actually took offense to it. I'm like, my name's Steve. Why call me Stove? I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been called worse than that.
You're right. But I was like, they kept doing it. I wasn't in on the joke yet. But then when one day, we all went from the nickname. So we're sitting at a restaurant. It's me and two other guys. And we just did like a softball game or something. And they're like, one guy's name was Rocket. And the other guy's, I was like, what's your guys' real names? I've known you like 2 years now, and I don't even know your real name. And it was like, Ian. I'm like, yeah, I don't like Ian. We're going to keep calling you Rocket. And the other one's name was Alex. Oh, Alex was Rocket. Sorry. But anyway, it was the point of saying, I'd known these guys like 2 or 3 years, and I'm like, what's your name? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I've done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody rags on me. They're like, you're a sales guy, and you don't know people's
Yeah, I was
names.
out last night or the other night, and we ran into a girl that used to wait on me at Texas Roadhouse all the time. And and she looked, I knew who she was, but I didn't know who she was. And I talked to her like every Wednesday. And the next thing you know, I'm like, who are you? I said, I know you, but I don't know who you are.
I
and
know
she's
you, but
like,
I don't know you.
You know why? And I said, no, why? She said, because I dyed my hair blonde. And I'm
that'll
like,
do it.
Okay, so,
That explained it.
yeah, her name,
You don't even remember her name right now?
I
You're like,
do. Yeah, her name is Dakota.
Okay.
And I used to talk to her all the time. Her boyfriend bought her a bow, and she was talking about some stuff. And
I think I remember. I can't remember if she was. I think she was still in high school when I was working at Texas Roadhouse. I mean, that's where I met Brad. But that was how many years ago now? That was like
oh yeah,
over 10 years ago.
yeah,
Over 10 years ago when I worked there.
Yeah, did you work there after Brad, or did you leave?
No, I
before?
worked there with Brad because Brad and
But
I
I
didn't
mean-
like each other in the beginning. I was like, "Who's this douche?" And he's like, "Same thing." And I was like, and then like it took one Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, I think, and then we're like, "Yeah,"
Right.
and then we were friends. But that was hilarious back in
Yeah.
that day. But yeah, man, brought you out here to talk about some hunting stuff because you're a very adamant, passionate hunter, and
Yeah,
first time I ever been to their house, he shows me his hunting room, and I've been in a lot of hunting rooms. Like, this is my hunting room. I got 2 things on the wall. You have so much stuff on your wall you can't see paint.
yeah.
I walk
Well,
in there and I'm like, how many animals you think you got in there? You ever count?
No,
You would lose. I mean, you got
Yeah, I
a
don't.
basket literally just filled with antlers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
lot.
most of those are gone now. I took them out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're just
the
like-
wife kept saying it's too cluttered. It's too cluttered. So I was like,
I liked
okay.
it. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, me too.
Yeah.
I kind of did calm things down a little bit. I had a lot of those small racks that I killed when I was, 14,
kid,
13,
right?
Yeah, just and they were cluttering stuff up a little bit, but I left most of the 8s and some of the big 6s and stuff like that. But it still looks good. I mean, I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
but,
you got a boatloader though. I mean, didn't your hog have some sort of record?
Well, supposedly, and I never found. I looked for it. It was in
Right.
Boar Magazine.
Oh, okay.
The guy that where I got it at is he was supposedly one of the biggest hogs ever taken with a bow. He
Really?
Was, yeah. I mean,
It is a big one.
he was 815. we had to actually weigh him twice because the scale only went to 600. So we had to take the hide off, and we weighed him, and then we weighed the hide itself.
Yeah,
because the head was hanging on the ground because he was so tall.
So you had to weigh him in pieces and add it up.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a big.
It was,
how did you wind up after you killed it? I mean, you had to get. How did you get it out?
Well,
they could bring in a forklift.
They brought in a Polaris 6-wheel drive. 4 wheels on the back with a bed.
Right.
And they knew they couldn't get it up in there, so they said, "Well, we'll just."
They put it in the back, and the thing
we'll
just
drag it. Yeah, we'll just drag it. Well, it sat there with all 6 wheels just
spinning.
I mean, it wouldn't even move it.
That's hilarious.
So then he goes up and he gets a tractor. I don't remember what it was. It was like size of like an old 8N or something like that.
Yeah.
And he has a bucket on it, and he brings it down and goes to put it in the bucket, and he's trying to get it in the bucket. He can't get it in the bucket. He said, "We'll just wrap a chain around it." And I'm like, "Look, I'm going to mount this thing." I said, "So let's not mess it up."
Yeah.
So, he's down off like into a bottom, and so he's dragging it out. And when he gets it drug out, there's an area on it that it pulled all the hair out of one side. I was a little pissed about that. You know?
I could
was
imagine.
Like, well, it is what it is.
Right.
So we taxidermist, he fixed it up pretty good, and it was
that's a story though.
It was a trip. He was like, because a friend of mine, a guy named Patrick, and we went. He actually found a place, and we went up to hunt. And he wanted to kill more of a Russian boar, like a Russian type boar, and he had a bow, and I had my bow, and we went up, and he had actually shot his boar, and it had ran down through a stream and down over on a
right.
Like we didn't know where it went, but he hit it good, so we figured it'd be dead. But we went down through there and we were looking for it, and as we come into this little oak flat, and he was standing there. This one that I shot was feeding, and I was like, I want to kill that hog, and they were like, "Well, that's a big hog." And I was
sure?
like, "That's a big hog."
Well, yeah, I didn't want to kill
It
a
looked
little
like
one.
it looked like a bus standing there. So I eased up, with the bow and just drawed back, and he was quartering away, and I was afraid that I was shooting expandables at the time, and I was
like
shooting these
expandables.
little.
I don't like expandables.
I was shooting these Wolverines.
Okay.
And I never had a problem with them, and they were great. So, I draw the bow back, and he was quartering away hard, and I hit him in the back hip, and it went through like his flank area, on the side, and it went into his hip, out of the hip into the passed through the loin or the flank area, and then went straight up through. And it was, I mean, it was like 28 yards, but it was a dead ringer shot. I mean, right through the center of the heart, and it blowed out the front of him, right over here.
How long do you run for it? He just dropped him?
He roared. He actually turned and charged. And when we went when he was coming in to charge us, and of course everybody turned around. Well, the one guy, he turned around, and he took off running, almost right dead into a tree. His shoulder got knocked off, and Patrick is not. He's just one of those guys that never cuss. And
he
was running the camera. He was running the camera because we had it on camera. And he says, "Oh fuck!" And the camera's going all over, and he runs. It was hilarious. So he runs back, and we know we spun around real quick, and I drove another, because at that point, you can, when you watch the video, it was wet out. It had been raining that morning, so you can see the arrow flying through the air, and it hits, and it looks like it glances off his ass, like it looked like
it hit,
the arrow glanced off. And but at the time, even when I was following the arrow, when I shot, I could see it, and it looked like it glanced off.
Yeah.
So, when he came after it, like turned and came toward us, I was like, this isn't going to be good. So I drove another. I ran another arrow in real fast.
Just charged.
And as he was coming across, there's like a little like a area there that's like a deer trail or a hog trail, whatever. And I draw the bow back again, and he was walking across, and the guy's like, he's done. He's done. Look at the blood. And I mean, it was dumping out like 5-gallon buckets.
Dumping.
And I drawed back, put another one in him anyway. I was probably about 32, 33 yards at that point, but I'd put another one in him, and he walked over, I guess probably 10, 15 yards and fell over, and that was it. But I mean, it was well, we didn't know. I mean, I didn't know exactly where I hit him until we gutted him and pulled the heart out. And there was the ones that I was shooting, the Wolverines, they were 4-blade.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it was
Big
a perfect 4 blades right straight through the middle of the heart.
That's crazy.
I had some pictures of it. I should have brought them, but
where did you go on the hunt at?
It was a place called the Hog Farm. It was way up. It was called the Pig Farm. It was way up in almost into Ohio, on the I'm not sure the county name.
Really, I didn't even know they had pigs.
It was
there.
Well, it was it was a farm. It was a hog farm. It was it was a fenced in area. But from what we understood is the guy was going out of business. And Patrick got in there on the last kind of minute. We were the last hunt to ever be there.
Really?
And the reason was because a lot of the locals didn't like him having. He was making a business out of the place, and the locals cut a bunch of fences. They had cut the fences, and all of his hogs were getting out. All these feral hogs and all these boars, he was having them shipped in different places. From what I understand, this hog came in from a place called it was down in Georgia someplace.
Okay.
River Oaks Plantation. You probably heard of Hogzilla.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that area, supposedly.
And they just cut the fence.
But yeah, I mean, he had them in there for a while, but they all got out. And when we got there, he was actually had corn throwed and all the gates open. And we were like, why are the gates open? He says, that's why I'm kind of going out of business, because
he's probably trying to
everybody's cutting my fences, and everybody's, they don't like me doing this, and I can't stay in business.
Right.
I buy stuff and bring it in here and then raise them, or try to raise them, and then they let them all out. And, they're running wild around here everywhere.
I don't think people understand how destructive those animals are either. Like, those hogs will mess some stuff up, and they would never
let them out of there or cut the fences.
Yeah.
If they'd know how much.
I heard a stat that they breed and have babies before they're even like a year old. So that's how they multiply so fast, because they're now having problems like with them, I think down in Texas, where they hunt them from like helicopters with a Gatling gun, just like like trying to, there's too many, and they multiply so quick.
Well, I know like a feral hog, if you take a feral hog, within 3 days of being in the wild, they'll start growing hair.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then and
tusks
start growing tusks and everything. Yeah, they start adapting just like that.
I've heard that actually, if you do, like, you can do that with your home pig. Like, if you have a pet pig and you let them out in the wild, they will start getting hairier and tusks within that same like time period.
Yeah, right.
Well, they'll become like a wild boar eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of nuts. I always wanted to do one of those hunts. That would be so much fun.
They're fun.
Yeah,
but they're fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I think it would be a lot better if it was, in my experience, I mean, believe me, we had a blast. I mean, it was 400 and some acres. It was fenced off. And I mean, that's a lot of land.
Yeah.
We looked for, probably 3.5, 4 hours before we even seen any.
Yeah.
So it was it took us a while to get on. And then, like, coming up on this pig that I killed, I didn't even, I mean, the guy said that he didn't even know the pig was there. He thinks that it got loose a long time ago, and it was
came back.
It came back into the open fences.
Well, that's why I kind of figured he probably had the corn in the open fences to like try to get him to come back in.
Yeah, that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
He said what he was doing is they had cut the fences on the one side of the property, so he put another fence up in the middle, and he had some gates, and he would open those gates up, and then he would in the evening he would close the gates, and then he would try to walk through and push anything that may have been on that side of the property, which was probably, I don't know, 100 acres or so, 120 acres, and he would try to push them through, to have a bunch of guys. But he had the one that I actually was wanting to go after was a black one in there, and he said he had tussed about 4 to 6 inches long.
Damn.
And he said he was a mean son of a gun.
Well, I could have.
He would charge you in a heartbeat. That's the one I was going after, but then I
saw that
ran into this one, and
might as well.
Yeah, might as well take this one.
Yeah, that I remember that you have that one mounted in the trophy room. That's a big hog, man. That's the kind of thing. Those are types of hunts that I want to do, though. Like, I'm kind of like a one and done kind of guy in a sense, except with turkey hunting. Like,
yeah, well,
I mean, I would like to get a bigger buck than that one. That's I've only ever shot 2 bucks. I've only been hunting like 5 years. You know what I mean? I did as a kid, but I never really got anything. And then I just as a kid, I didn't like hunting really. I don't know. It was just boring to me. And then suddenly I hit like my late 20s and I'm like, I got this itch and I'm like, I want to go hunting. And then I got obsessed like everybody, as you know. It's like you, I never understood
I breathe it.
Yeah. But it's like you get this little high right before and after, you know what I mean? And you get really excited, and part of it also is just quiet.
Yeah.
It's so stress-free. You're just sitting there like,
if I get something. Best drug in the world.
Right. If I get something, I get something. If I don't, I don't. You're just relaxing in the woods.
Well, fast-paced world today. Everything's got to be done yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's so nice just to be able to go out, sit in the woods, relax. Don't
100%.
Don't have any worries. Shut your phone off. You're not going to get any calls.
Just hanging out. And, yeah, I'm with you 100%. Once I got the first deer that I shot, it was like almost a yearling. I mean, it was like maybe a second year, and it was tiny. And I was so proud of that thing. And I was like, it was like a dog. I could have thrown it over my shoulder, and then I felt bad. I'm like, yeah, I guess that is pretty small. But you know what I mean? I got bit by the snake, if you will, and then I was fixed. And that's, again, the only buck. But to your point, so I got married, I guess, almost coming up on 2 years ago. So I shot it that hunting season. So it was, I seen it multiple times during archery, and it would always be across the field.
Always are.
And he would be like, boop, 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 and I'm like, and it's one of those things where I'm like 70 yards. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like I wanted to try so bad, but I'm like, it's so many things could go wrong. And I got it on the first day of rifle at I could barely see it that early. And I actually thought it was another hunter, but it made me think of that because you talked about messing the hog up. Yeah. I had to drag that thing all uphill going down a stone road because I wasn't going through straight up the mountain. So I took it up this stone road. It wasn't it was like a logging road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was funny. I talked to Brad on my way up. I talked to all my buddies that were in the wedding because it happened on Cyber Monday because, Black Friday or first season rifle is Cyber Monday now. So when I was getting everybody to order their suits, because we ordered my wedding suits from JCPenney's, and it was 25 or 35% off that day. So it saved $50, $60 ordering the suit that day. Sure. So I'm calling everybody hey, did you order your suit? Yeah. I'm walking out of the woods right now dragging a deer, you know what I mean? All right. And then I sat there, I take a break, order my suit. It took all uphill. It took me forever because I was like,
yeah, right.
And you got all that clothes on and you're sweating bullets. It was. But my point is, it's the kind of things you remember. It's the camaraderie of it is half of it. You know what I mean?
It's no better than that. That's
like when turkey season comes around, and I talked to you last year. I'm like, I don't even know why I called you. I'm like, there's one outside the house right now. It's gobbling like crazy. You think I should shoot it? You're like, I don't know, man. Go look out the window. It's
right.
Oh, but that's kind of what a lot of people ask me about turkey hunting. Everybody's like, what do you do? You know, and turkey hunting is one of those things. When I first started it, somebody gave me a mouth call, and I'm like, this is stupid. And then I just wanted to sort of practice and practice and practice.
Yeah.
And then the first time I actually went real turkey hunting, I got a turkey to respond. I was hooked.
Oh, that's it.
From that second, you hear that thing come back, and then, like every beginner does, I wouldn't shut up with the mouth call because I wasn't disciplined.
Run them off.
Right. So I'm sitting there like, "Prop, prop, 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 prop." He did it again. Prop, 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 prop. He did it again. This is it. Prop, prop, prop. He did it again. And then, like, 3 hours, he's like, all right, this hen's not coming. I can't believe it responded as long as it did.
That's what everybody does, you know? I mean, that's the first thing they do.
Yeah.
You know?
You can't help yourself.
I did it, you know what I mean? And everybody does it. And then, you know, till you, and you know, sometimes it works.
Right.
I mean, they can, you know, a turkey they can make an ass out of you so quick.
Oh,
I don't
so
care
quick.
how good you are, how much, you know, you've done. They can make an ass out of you.
So quick. That's the hardest thing to learn is
When to shut up.
when to shut up and just be patient. And you always drilled that into my head. You're like, you gotta stop. And I'm like,
Right.
I don't wanna.
Yeah,
I just wanna
because you want to hear that gobble.
Yeah, it's that gobble. It's like the hair on my arms is standing up right now, just thinking about the gobble. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you know, I had to get busted by a turkey so many times, and that's why I had a dry spell. The first turkey I got, the one hanging over there, was pure luck, because
it was just the right time.
it was the right time, but he was gobbling and shut up, and I'm like, I'm gonna stalk him. You ain't stalking no turkey. But I in my head, I'm like, I can do it. You know what I mean? So I snuck up around the side of the mountain and got him going again. And I get to the top there, and he shut up. I was getting closer, and he shut up because he knew what he was doing. I didn't. And then I'm like, well, I guess I missed him. So I just start walking, do. And next thing I know, this turkey just bolts right across towards the edge of the mountain because he started taking off. I was like, boom, boom, boom. And I finally let him. He started to fly, and I shot him one last time in the air, and he just seized up, and he fell over the side of the mountain. I had to go down the mountain to get him, but it was pure luck. But I destroyed the turkey because I shot it 4 times. I didn't even go like head. I didn't even think to lead it. I was trying to shoot it like a duck.
Yeah,
and just go straight for the body instead of leading it like if it was flying because it run pretty quick.
Pretty dang good shot.
I got lucky, man. It was all luck, and I had 4 shells in the gun, and you're only supposed to have 3, but I had 4, and it was all luck. And then that's when I got past here. You know, as you know, I fought 2 weeks for it.
Exactly, that's the best ones.
Yeah, what's your best turkey story? Because you've got like how many turkeys? 40. If not more than that.
I think it's 33.
33?
I killed 33.
That's still a lot of turkeys.
And I didn't start actually until I was about 35, 30, about 30 years old. I started hunting when I was about 30. I don't know. I have so many of them, but one that comes to mind probably more than any of them is my friend Rob Yelko is the guy that actually taught me how to turkey hunt. We had met each other on a job site, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was, you know, we had a great time. He was a compaction guy that was there, and I was the utility foreman, and we just started talking about hunting, and we got into it. And the first time, he convinced me. Well, we had a rain day, we had a snow day actually, and we got off because of the snow day. So I said, well. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to go hunting. He's like, for what? I said, for deer. And he says, oh, man, I'd love to go deer hunting. And I was like, well, go grab your stuff, and I'll take you to my spot. We'll go.
Yeah, let's go.
I got a couple, you know. And he's like, I don't have my bow. He said, I left it in, you know, up in close to Morgantown where I used to live.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I got an extra bow at the house. I said, you can check it out, see if it'll fit you. So come up real quick. I mean, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, so we weren't going to do a morning hunt anyway. We were going to do an evening hunt.
Right.
I said, come up, you know, and you're about my size. Throw some of my clothes on, whatever, and you can roll. You know? Yeah. So he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're kidding. I said, no, I'm not. I said, come on, let's go. So that's what we did. He came up to the house, took him out back, threw the target up real quick, about 30 yards, and said,
Give it a
throw a
rip.
couple of them in there. Let's see how they do. And he was right there. You know what I mean? He was hitting a ply plate every time, no problem. So I was like, okay, man, I think we're good.
We're
Let's
ready.
roll.
Yeah.
So took the old bow. I went in one spot. He went in the other, and he ended up shooting at a buck. But he was a little bit far away. He was he hadn't killed a whole lot of deer and with a bow, and he was like, well, I was kind of anxious. The deer wouldn't come in, so he eased down out of the tree because he was on the back side, eased down out of the tree, and he walked down around some stuff, and he tried to wing one at it, and he actually clipped it in the back. Drew a little blood, but I think the deer's fine. I mean, he just, he ran off, and we found some hair and some stuff, but he was hooked. He was like, wow, man, but we had talked already about turkey hunting, so had another guy named Gary. He owned some property down at the Eastern Shore, and we went down there, and he said, I'll call you a bird in. I said, really? He says, I'll call you a bird in. So Gary, we were on this little point. Well, first of all, we got out of the cabin, and we heard some birds gobbling in the backwoods. So we went in the backwoods there, and we set up. And I'd never been hunting down the Eastern Shore.
I never have either.
I'm sitting there, and my hands, I look down at my hands, it's dark. I mean, because, we got out early, and it was just starting to break, but it was light enough that you could see your hands this far in front of you. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at my hands, and I'm like, man, my hands look like they're crawling. What the heck is that? It was mosquitoes. Dude, they were tearing me up. I mean, I didn't put no spray or nothing on that morning. So Rob's a good turkey hunter, and he knows what to listen for. So he just, after about 10 minutes, he just jumps up, and he says, there's a bird gobbling back here. We need to go after that one. I said, well, that bird was gobbling. He said, didn't you hear the hens fly down? And I'm like, no, I didn't hear the hens fly down. And he says, come on. So Gary got up, and he said, let's go. He said, we'll go over and set on this point. So we got on this point, and he told Gary, he said, I'm going to set between you guys. I'm going to see if I can call these birds in. If they come in front of you, Gary, you shoot it. If they come in front of you, Barry, you shoot it. I said, okay. So he starts calling, and this bird gobbles. And he calls a little bit more. He gobbles again. And the next thing you know, there's another bird that was gobbling. And the bird's gobbling, and it sounds like he's going towards the other bird that's gobbling. So Rob, he's very good at turkey hunting. He says he's running another bird off. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, he's running that bird off. So I was like, get out of here. So he said, he's got to be a good one. So he had this throaty gobble, and I was like, man, this is awesome. So I'm sitting there, and the next thing you know, he comes out of the woods. He comes out of the wood, and I mean, right off the bat, he's freaking letting it rip right out of it. Walks out of these pines, and he freaking goes right in the strut. You'd have thought this bird had a 20-inch beard. I mean, he was a Jake. I'm not kidding you, but it was the first bird, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm telling you, he had this throaty gobble, and Rob was sure it was a real nice bird, a nice bird. But he had about a 6-inch beard, and you could see his fan was split. You know what I mean? Had the feathers that dropped down, and I was like, that's awesome. And I'm thinking, because he's behind me about 10 yards, and there's a pond in front of me. So this bird struts all the way around the pond. And
that's a long way.
The funny thing was the bird run him off, and he wouldn't come out.
Uh-huh.
And Rob says, I'll get his ass. And I said, what are you going to do? And he took his box, and he gobbled. As soon as he gobbled, that bird gobbled and ran right at us. And he come out like that's when he came out of the pines, and he just right off the bat, and he just threw his head out there, man, and just let it eat, and I was like, oh my God, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, he strutted all the way around the pond, and he came out in front of Gary, and I can hear Gary over there. Laughing his ass off. I mean, he's like he's just laughing, and because he's only I don't know, maybe maybe 20 yards from me, but because of the way the point was, I couldn't shoot through there and he couldn't shoot through here. So he's laughing, and I'm like, and Rob, he's right in front of him, and Rob's like, shoot him, you know what I mean? And he's yelling, Conomo's yelling at him, and this bird is just strutting away, and I got my head kind of cocked, turned a little bit, and all of a sudden he comes around the point, and he comes right in front, like about 12, 15 yards out in front of me. He comes around and I'm just sitting there, and Gary is still laughing, and he's got me about half laughing, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden he walks and Rob's like, shoot him. Boy, boom. I mean, I didn't hesitate. As soon as he got in my line, that was
gone.
it. He was done. So that was the first bird I ever killed.
That was the first one.
And yeah, I mean, I had been turkey hunting before that, but I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I would go out and make calls and hear nothing.
I was the same. And
you know, so
this is the box call from.
I have one of those.
Yeah, my dad gave it to me when I was a kid, and it was just like just out there, like not even having a cadence to it, not knowing how many yelps to throw out there, not even knowing what a cluck was. It was just like, you know what I mean? And
I think probably almost every person in the world, I think, has one of those.
Yeah.
Lynch calls.
Yeah.
They're great because the rubber bands that originally came on them, they were a perfect gobble box.
Yes, because you could swing it like this. Yep. And I could, for the life of me, don't know how they got those rubber bands to go through like the holes, because it's supposed to go like boop, 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 and around this way. And that kind of keeps it just loose enough. And I honestly never hardly use this thing. I'll take it with me if I'm trying to throw something long.
Yeah.
But usually if there's anything long, I just close the distance, because you're not getting that bird to go that far.
I don't know.
I never have. Sometimes, like, if it's the right time, well, I'll tell you the difference. Public land versus private. Private land, I'll get them to go far.
Yeah.
Public?
No.
Nope.
Because there's too many other guys in the woods. They've heard it too much.
Yeah, they've heard it too much. They'll gobble back, but they won't move. You have to like get closer to them, and then I've had so many birds on public land,
and a lot of times
they shut down so quick.
They do shut down fast, and the other thing, because they've heard it so much, I think that's where a lot of times talking to the bird what he wants to hear. Because if you ever listen, I mean, and that's what Rob, taught me. He pushed me so many times. You got to hear the hen. Stop worrying about the gobbler. Stop worrying about the gobbler.
Right.
Stop worrying about, try to listen for hens, because you want to mimic those hens and see what they are. And I never really, it took me a long time to hear them. I couldn't, I mean, I would go in the woods and just listen and never hear them. And then I was actually hunting down the Eastern Shore at a deer hunting down the Eastern Shore one time. And I had a flock of turkeys above me and I didn't know it. When I went in the woods that morning, there was probably 25 or 30, that were there. And all of a sudden in the morning, I started hearing them, real quiet, tree talking. And Rob kept constantly telling me, you got to hear them birds. You got to hear them hens. And I was like, okay. So, but anyway, I finally, heard them that day. And it tunes your ears.
It really does.
And it's like, okay, now I know what I'm listening for, because I heard them, but I didn't really know what they were until they flew down. Then I was like, that's freaking turkeys. That's what I got to listen for. That's what Rob keeps telling me to listen for. So, years after, I mean, that's what I do. I listen for the hens, and I'll mimic the hens, just keep mimicking the hens and try to get them to respond.
See, I've heard hens in the woods, but they're not like what you think.
Mm-mm.
More times than not, they're just cluck and purr, and you hardly hear them.
Right.
Like until you have a hen that's like within 10 yards, you wouldn't even know they made sounds that they make. Like the that little whine they do is like woo woo woo.
Yeah.
Woo, woo,
Yeah. The feeding. The feeding. That's basically the feeding.
And you're like, I can hardly hear it.
Cluck.
Yeah, you can hardly hear it.
Just that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like a little like a little whine, and then they'll and then purr,
Right,
and then
right.
and then like the woo woo woo, like a little. I don't know. I can do it on the call. I can't
Yeah,
do it with my
right.
mouth. And I had a gobbler, that I knew was in the area because I seen him. Never said a word. I was hunting, and I was done because it was on state land. Couldn't find anything, and I'm driving down the road. Right there on the side of the road, massive, massive bird, and I was like, "Whoa!" I drove up, parked in, and then went and tried to come around him. And I sat there. He never gobbled one time, not once.
Mm-mm.
But the hen was all around the area, and I knew where he was and she was.
Yeah.
I never saw him again after that. But the hen kept coming back around, and I'd heard hens in the distance, early or late, sounding off, but I had never heard that close cadence in that feed,
Yeah.
the feed calls.
Yeah.
And when I finally first heard it, it all kind of clicked and made sense, but I had to hear it in person. It wasn't something I could hear on YouTube or something I could hear on a
No.
CD. But when I heard it, it all made sense. So then when I changed the strategy from the crazy yelping and doing all this,
Right. It's
all
what a
that
lot
stuff.
of, and we all did it. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody else. When I first started, you want to hear that turkey gobble. I was going to tell you that the one that actually came to mind, the best one. You see these guys now with these decoys, and they get in behind this bird.
Right.
Well,
Oh, the one that's like right over the gun and they're running
Yeah.
towards it? Yeah.
Okay, so my buddy Rob will vouch for this. He was in one of those laws that he just he wasn't killing a bird for for probably 2 years. So we were hunting in the property in West Virginia, and I had been in the back, and I came out, and as I came out, he was sitting there, and he's trying to get these two birds. He had 3 or 4 hens with him, and there's 2 gobblers, and in West Virginia you're allowed to kill two birds.
Yeah, yeah.
So we I was sitting there, and he said, "Hey," he said, "can you drop back and see if you can get these birds to come across?" He said, "I'm trying to get them." He said, and they were about 2.5, 300 yards, 250, 300 yards, and there was a big ravine that came down across and back up, and then it came across, and I'm calling, and now it's like 11:30. We got to be out of the woods by 12, and I'm like, I go up to Rob, and I'm like, "Hey, let's give this one last shot." And he's like, "What?" And I said, "I got this new Montana decoy." I said, "it's just a gobbler." I said, "Let's crawl up." There was a telephone pole. It was old. It was a road where we're hunting the coal mines, and
Okay.
they're all reclaimed. So we crawl up on this bird, and he's kind of sitting on my ass, and I'm freaking holding this decoy out, and we're crawling. We're moving. So he's like, "All right," he says, "up a little bit more." So I go up a little bit more, and he creeps up a little bit more, and he's got my gun because he said he knew that my gun would reach a little bit better than his. So
Right.
he's like, "All right, let's crawl up a little bit more." So I crawled up a little bit more. He says, "Do you think this is going to work?" I said, "I don't know, man." I said, "It's just
Worth
worth
a
a
shot."
shot."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not worth a shot. And we get up just on the rise, just where the birds are on the other side. They're like 200, 250 yards away. And I give a like a cluck, like that.
Yep. Yep.
Well, those birds turn around, and I'm looking, and Rob's like, "Put your head down, put your head down." And I'm like, "Why?" He says, "They're running, man. They're coming right at us." Down across that ravine, back up across that ravine. They came running straight in, and they're like 40 yards. And he pulls the trigger, and this, I didn't see it. I didn't see it because I had my head down.
Yeah.
So as soon as he shot, I picked my head up and look, and the other bird's standing there, and I said, "Shoot the other one." He said, "Put your head down." Boom. He shoots it. He shoots and rolls this other bird. Well, the first bird that he shot was like 55 yards. He shot a little too early.
That's
the
long.
other one. Yeah, the other one came right in, and it was like 30 yards. He that and just dropped. But the first one got up, and it flew into the high wall. There's some they're olive bushes, they're called.
Okay.
Olives. And it went up in there. There was no way to get down to it, or no way to get up to it. It was straight up, and
You're screwed at that point.
Yeah, I mean the bird's dead. We knew the bird was dead. but the bird was up in there and we couldn't get to it. But he ended up killing that bird, and that was like he worked them birds all morning, couldn't get them.
That's the worst.
And then to finish the day off, I mean, I looked down at my watch and it was like 11:52. And I'm like, talk about cutting it close,
right.
dude. And he's like, oh yeah,
8 more minutes.
Yeah.
I have yet to see a bird. That's not true. This was the first year I'd seen a bird sprint, but I'd never seen a bird sprint. And that bird that I was telling you about didn't say a peep all morning. And I was like getting ready to leave. And I never had much luck hunting with decoys. I usually just have better luck just going out in the woods without nothing, and I don't know why, but I had one hen decoy out, and out of the corner of my eye, I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of like just spacing out, and I see some movement, and here's a hen, and I'm like, and I've seen this hen so many times, nothing was ever following it. She comes down across, stands in the middle of the road. I'll show you out back where she was standing. Next thing I know, I look up, and there he is. Right? I didn't even know he was there. He didn't say a word all morning.
Nope.
I didn't call him in at all. That was the only thing that made me mad. I didn't call this bird in. It was pure nature. So she sees him and takes off running. And he sprints right down the road, and I had a hen 10 yards from my blind, because I knew where they walked, and I was right off the path, and I had the blind in a bunch of laurel. So I'm sitting in a full blind, because that way I can move around and stuff.
Sure.
Because I've gotten busted too many times trying to sit still, and a gnat gets in my ear, and I'm like, poof, and all of a sudden, and I'm like, ah! Yeah, you hear the putt sound, and you're like, ah. So I blind hunt most of the times, unless, it's a run and gun situation, but
right.
He comes sprinting right towards my blind, and then all of a sudden he sees my decoy, and he stopped, like put on the brakes right outside the window. This bird wasn't 7 yards away from me, man. And all of a sudden he just goes, boom! And I never seen an animal fly. I shot this thing, and I had that new, that hex shot stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to go further. Man, this turkey was just like, like, it lifted him. He was in the middle of the road, and he flew like that into the ditch on the side. I blasted him. It blew him back.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like it. I was like, boom! I was so happy. I was jumping around. I think I probably called you right after. I was like, I got him, yeah!
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
What I mean?
Yeah. That's awesome.
I was so pumped, but that's the only time I've ever seen a turkey run. Like, I know people, the taxidermist I go to, took a full-blown strutting turkey and mounted it as his decoy.
Oh, yeah.
So he sticks it out in the woods, and he's got videos of turkeys full sprinting to it.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that happen. I want to see that happen, but I've never seen a full strutting or a full turkey run to a strutter. And it's never happened for me.
I've had it happen quite a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a hunt in West Virginia again. I hunt a place called J Porthole, we call it.
Okay.
And I had been calling to this bird in the morning, and I seen him fly out of the top, and he flew all the way down, probably 400 or 500 yards away from me, and hit this bottom. Of course, it's hard to hear hens in the woods, but they're so keen to it, they can hear a bird 1,000 yards away with no problem. So he flew down and he hit this area, and I figured, he's gone. He's over on this other side, no big deal. So I hear him way, way off in the distance gobbling. So I get out of my blind, and I'm sticking my head up out of the blind because I don't hear nothing around me. So I look over, and all of a sudden I see this bird, and he's over on this hillside, and he's 500-600 yards away from me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man. So I said, why don't I throw a couple calls out there? So I threw a couple yelps and purrs, and next thing you know, he picks his head up, looks towards me. I'm not kidding you. He's got 15 hens with him.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he just turns and starts walking towards me. And these 15 hens are back there. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Because I'm out of the blind now. and I'm looking, and he starts coming towards me, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This bird isn't coming towards me. He's just got to be coming. So I make 2 more calls. He drops he's in strut. He was walking towards me in strut. He drops out of strut, and I mean full tilt, running. And I'm like, shit, he's coming, man. I got to freaking get in the blind. So I'm trying to get in the blind, zip the blind up, and I'm all getting all ready to go. And the next thing you know, he comes down there and he comes right up, and I had decoys out probably about 25, 30 yards out. And I'm like, all right, he's going to come in. Well, he came in, and he was an old. He knew the gig.
Yeah, yeah.
He stops.
He's like, oh, I recognize this setup. I'm out.
He stops and he looks, and he's looking, and he starts, doing the old, head bob.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, here we go, man. So I put get the gun out the blind. I'm just like, all right. I said, man, he's got to be every bit of 55 yards. I said, I don't know.
That's a haul.
Well, I said, you know what? I'm going to try to let him have it. And he had stuck his head up and stopped and paused for a second. And boom, man, I mean, down he went. Got that one on video, too.
Yeah.
I had that on video, and I was like, man, I jumped out of the blind. I'm getting out of the front of the blind because he's flopping around because he was so far. Trip out of the blind, about break my neck, run over there real fast. I'm so pumped up, what I mean?
You're just shaking like crazy.
He was a great bird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, how in the heck could I pull that bird away from 15 hens 500 yards away?
The real deal. Yeah, the real deal, too.
And I mean, it's like, wow, man. I mean, because, it's just, I think it's, it's like a woman. If you talk to her right, she'll like what you're saying.
Right.
If you don't talk to her right,
she don't like it.
She don't like it.
Yeah, she's out. And that's kind of crazy to even, like you're saying, bring a bird that far and on top of that henned up already, because I've seen birds henned up and I haven't been able to get them to move.
Yeah.
But that's kind of crazy, though, that you got an A to come that far and you made that shot. I mean, one of those things about turkey hunting, I've had so many times where I'm like, this is it. I'm getting him. That's your
worst.
first mistake.
That's the worst thing you can think.
Yeah, we talk about counting your chickens before they hatch. Turkey hunting 101 is don't count your chickens before they hatch. Because
absolutely not.
I've blown so many hunts.
So have I.
They've been like right behind me, and I just got impatient, and I turned around, and he saw that, and I'm like, I was already like. I thought he was going to come the way he was coming. I'm like, this is it. I was like taking my gear off, like getting ready to go in the house before he got there. You know what I mean? Nope. He went behind me, went behind the blind. I'm like, he's going to come right up. Boop, boop. Nope. He came in and then circled me. And then was behind me and got hung up not even 15 yards behind me. And I turned because I was impatient. And he saw that little thing, shot gobbled, and then tore down through the woods. And it was over. And he had a Jake with him, too. And I was mad.
Oh, yeah.
But that happens more times than none in turkey hunting. You'll
always
get busted.
Yeah. If I killed as many as I blew off,
right,
I wouldn't have enough house.
You would need every bedroom have a turkey in it. Yeah. So I want to get into the calls a little bit because you and I talk about this a lot.
Absolutely.
And you turned me on to, was it True Tone?
No, Mountain Hollow.
Mountain Hollow. Okay.
Yeah.
Do they put a booth? Didn't you say they put a booth at the Sportsman Show or something?
Do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were up there again this year.
Okay. I didn't go this year, but last year, I think it was them that I bought a boatload of different calls from. And is that brown one in there? Is that a single?
That's a double read.
Double read?
I think it is. I think that's the Intimidator or something they call it. Yeah, that's a.
There's no cuts in it?
Just one little cut in the side there.
So I want to kind of just go through all the calls and explain to people, because a lot of people ask me again about turkey hunting. You're kind of like the black belt, and I'm like a blue belt for turkey hunting, if you will.
That, man. I don't know. I mean,
compared to most people, though,
I think a turkey call is more of your fit, because everybody's mouth's different. You take somebody that's,
Is that like I have a
Hey,
problem.
don't forget that one.
Yeah. That's actually I like that one. Now it's covered in dirt.
No, yeah, I mean,
This is
the
one of my
mountain
favorites.
holler calls fit my mouth.
Yeah.
They fit me good. So, that's the main reason I use them. I've tried other ones. Other ones seem like they're I don't know. They just don't fit me right.
It's all about how it fits in your mouth, one, and two, it's kind of like the shape of your mouth too.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because I used to bend them a little bit before I put them
Yeah.
in my mouth. I don't bend them anymore. I
No.
like changed my style of what I did with them.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I'll grab the ends, pull them, and stretch them. Stretch the reeds a little tighter to make them sound a little different, or push them together to make them sound a little deeper.
Yeah.
Push them in or pull them out. Depending on whatever
Well, the biggest thing that I always find is they get stuck.
together.
Yeah.
Well, there's little pieces. Some of them come with a or you can take a toothpick.
I've
And
done
you
the
can-
toothpick and a
yeah,
paper clip too.
Or a paper clip,
Yeah.
and put them in between.
Yeah.
So that way the reeds stay apart. Usually I just blow them out real hard and flick them a couple
Yep.
times or something like that, and then put them back in the box. And I keep mine in the fridge.
I don't do that. I
They're-
should.
yeah, you should,
obviously,
because
these were just sitting in the closet.
It makes a big difference.
See,
They last longer. They don't get that white, tingy, nasty look to
Where
them.
like that.
Yeah, that's a mountain hollow call, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, that's a raspy hen. That's my favorite. That's my favorite call right there.
Yeah,
I've killed more birds with that. It's a raspy 3. It's called.
You're the one who kind of got me on board with those raspies. Not the raspies, I should say, the mountain hollows.
Yeah.
And I bought a bunch. I tried pretty much every single one of their calls. I just went on their website. That's usually what I do. When
Yeah.
I find a turkey call that I'm interested in or somebody recommends, I'll buy one of each.
Just to see which one you like.
Yeah, because you never know.
And they vary.
Right.
Believe me, I've had some of those. And it's just like anything else. They're in production. They got a mass production.
Right.
You can get one that sounds completely like crap, and then the other ones sound
That's
good.
exactly what I was gonna say, because they're not all the same.
No.
And you're like, I've gotten ones out of the box, and I use a lot of Woodhaven custom calls,
Okay.
and that one that I dropped over there is Ghost Call, and I think I got a different one in here. No, I don't have the Ghost Call in here, but this is like my
That's your go-to.
this is
box.
my go-to box. You already knew where I was going with it.
Right. Absolutely.
And I always take a ghost cut for my cadence stuff, soft stuff. And I didn't even try the call till I got out there, bought a brand new pack.
Yeah.
That call stretched within you know what I mean? They stretch and then they just sound like crap.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. You can't get the same sound out of them. And that's why now I just buy a new call every season, because I call aggressively, typically if I can get on a call and get it loud. So if it's a distance and I'm trying to cover a distance,
Yeah, especially in
I'll
the late
wear that
season.
thing out.
Late season,
Right.
I mean,
You're
because
cracking.
you're cracking pretty hard in order to be able to get it to go through.
Yeah. So I always start you'll see I have the same call 6 times over again, and this is like my cadence box, if you will. So this is like my quiet calls.
Try putting them in the fridge, because
Yeah.
it pulls that. I think it pulls that latex back,
Keeps it tight.
keeps it tight.
Yeah. That's it. See, what happens to me is they wind up on my truck dash, and
Sure.
I
And,
keep all this.
I got
stuff.
I got a hat that has the the little netting, and I'll shove
Stick
it
'em
in
in
there, and then find one 2 weeks after season in the hat.
And it's just destroyed.
Right.
So this is your go-to. It's that split V. It's a double read.
Yeah. Yep. Triple.
Oh, it's a
That's
triple. You're right. It is a
It's
triple read.
That's my favorite call. Just for some reason, I mean, I tell you, I've been on Mountain Hollow about it. I asked them about 3 or 4 times. Years ago, they made it out of this material. That's probably
It's thicker.
10 years old. Now that is like a hard canvas compared to more of a flimsy like yours.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a total different call. Now this call's shot. I mean, but it's it's I don't know how many, but I guarantee it probably still works. But that's just my favorite call. Same call, but it's just got that different color orange, and they used a different tape. And I've asked them about it probably for 2 years up there, 2 or 3 years about, man, you used to, and they said, we know exactly what you're talking about. We can't get the material anymore.
Right.
I could literally, because everybody puts a call in their mouth, and the next thing you know, it ends up in your jaw.
Uh-huh.
So then
Keep
it's
it to the
sitting
side
in
of
there
the cheek.
sopping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then when you go to call again, I notice with these,
You'll blow right over top
I
of it.
brought that one just for that.
Oh,
see
wow.
See how it's basically worn.
It
from,
is.
from calling so much. It just, it's got the areas that are just.
It's literally like looks exposed.
Yeah.
You can see the metal.
From calling.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But apparently this call here I use a lot. You can see that it's formed pretty good.
Yeah. So are those two right there? They're the same call.
They're exact same call, but this is the old style, and it lasted.
Tapes.
You could put this in your jaw, pull it out, and shake it a couple times, and it was still formed, and it was still just like a hard shell.
The tape's
outside.
thicker.
The tape's thicker.
Right.
Yeah.
See, and that's something I don't really ever keep it in my jaw the whole time anymore because of what you're saying.
Yeah.
That tape will get too soggy. And then when you try to get that seal on the top of your mouth, and that's one of the most important things is getting that seal. You got to start with that seal. And if you can't get that seal, it's not going to sound good.
No.
And that's why I used to bend them because I thought I needed a smaller one.
To get it to fit proper.
Right. And then I used to also cut them. I don't cut them anymore, and I don't bend them anymore because what I found is if I don't bend it, it'll stay tighter because I can push on it. I can push on the call harder.
Yeah.
And then I can get more
air across it.
I can get more sound across it. And when it does get soggy, I can get more out of it. But I know what you're saying. So what I'll do, and that's why I take 3.
Yeah, sure.
Because if one starts getting soggy, that one's done for the day. Next one, and then I'm ready to go. Or if that one gets soggy. And another thing, kind of like you said, if she doesn't like how you're talking, I'll take one call out, nothing, put another call in, boom, and they'll start lighting up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I believe turkeys hear hens, and it's just like us. You can pick up a phone and talk to your mom, and you're going to get you know who it is. As soon as she says, "Hey,"
her name,
right? Or as soon as she says your name,
right?
You know exactly who you're talking to.
You recognize, yes.
Just like we do with anybody else. If Brad calls you, Brad, is right there. He knows.
Hey, that's Brad.
Right. So if just the same thing, and I believe in the turkey woods.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the hens, even though we can't hear it, I believe they know that hen's voice.
Yeah.
So I think, like when Rob was always telling me, you got to mimic that hen. I've done it in the woods. I called a hen in one time. She flew down, and she drug 7 gobblers behind her.
Wow.
I mean 7, and I'm talking. I killed the one bird, and he had 11-inch beard.
There you go.
And then the big bird that was coming down, flying right above him when I pulled the trigger, was a hammer. He was bigger than the bird that I shot. But she had 7. She had 7 gobblers that flew down after her, and it started out in the morning. She tree talked a little bit, and I didn't really say anything. And then she tree talked again, and then I tree talked right back to her. Said the exact same thing she did.
Yeah.
And then, then she started, a little bit more, and then I would do the exact same thing. Well, you could tell, and you just listen. You can tell they're getting pissed off because she's up there. She's like, and I right back to her, and just pissed her off. Next thing you know, I hear she comes down, she hits the ground, and next thing you know, I hear over top of the blind, and I'm like, that had to be a gobbler. And I look out, and he's behind this olive bush, and he's over there, and he's got all, strutting. He's getting at it, and he had, probably an 8-inch beard, and I'm like, well, that's cool. I said, man, he comes over here, I'm gonna light his ass up. Well, you know what? Matter of fact, I wasn't in a blind. I wasn't in a blind that day. I was sitting up against a tree, and the next thing you know, I see this other bird come in, and lands right in front of me, and it's a good bird too. It's about an 8-inch beard, and then I'm getting ready to shoot that bird, and I'm like, all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see something walking down the road, and he's walking down the road. I was like, holy shit, that's a nice bird right there.
You wanted
he had
that
about
one.
a 10-inch beard.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a nice bird right there. So I'm getting ready, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like waiting. And okay, as soon as he comes out in front of the gun, well, just before he gets to me, another bird comes down, and he lands. As soon as he lands, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one I want.
They keep getting better and better.
They keep getting bigger and bigger, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one I want. So before I even let it all play out, which I should have, because I had them all right there, they were there. I mean, I look back at it now, and I probably should have just waited. I probably would have had my pick.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. You get so pumped up. I'm on the ground. I'm afraid I'm going to get busted.
It's so easy
this
to get
bird,
busted on
he
the ground.
comes in, and I'm like, he is dead right there, because he's got a freaking heck of a beard on him. So I put it on him, and boom, just as I shoot, there's another bird that's coming in, and his beard's just dragging back, and I'm like, holy, just as I pulled the trigger, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not kidding you. I mean, if when I pulled the trigger, if I would have picked the gun up, I'd have probably blown that one out of the sky.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right there. I mean, and I was like, oh my God, he hit the ground and 3-4 steps and boom, back up. He was gone again, And then the other bird that I had shot, he was spinning around there, and he's trying to get up, and I let him have it again and ended up taking him out. But he's a great bird. I got him mounted. He's the one that's on the stick there. And and just a great bird.
Yeah. That's how it goes though. You never know what's over the hill. You never know. And then all of a sudden you're like, and it's that split second of, you never know. You could have waited a second too long, and that bird could have busted you. And one takes off.
Oh yeah,
they
all gone.
They're like cockroaches when you turn the lights on, man. They're gone. You're like,
that's right.
What? There was like 15 of them here. I thought, counting chickens before you hatch. You're like, right. I had one. I knew I had one.
Right.
And you'd rather go home with an 8-inch than nothing.
Right.
But then you're like, but the 10 is right over there, or the 11, or the one that's dragging on the ground.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, man.
Exactly.
But see, the one I got this past year didn't have, the beard was like 9.5, 10, was a good beard, but sometimes the beard doesn't match the turkey always, because that turkey looked like he was like juicing and hitting the gym, and I'm like, what are you eating? Like, you know what I mean? Versus that one had a 12, I think a 12 or 11.5, and it was a decent sized bird, but it was just, I guess the area was at food, corn versus mountain.
That one there, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it just kind of all depends on, I guess, where they're located, but
Yeah, or genetics.
Genetics too, yeah.
I
Just
mean,
like humans, they're all different sizes.
Yeah, I mean, I killed the one in 18. I went turkeyless last year. I never killed a bird last year.
Yeah.
Never even. I mean, I was on them. I had a couple of two of the biggest birds I ever probably seen, and I couldn't get them to come in.
I mean, you got like 4 the year before those,
Yeah.
so you kind of deserved it.
No kidding. I kept telling all my buddies, I said, I'm coming in for a year that I'm going to have to, that I'm not going to kill shit.
Yeah. That's how it was. I had 1 year and then like 2 or 3 years off. I think it was 2. And then last year I finally hit again. But so your go-to call is this split V triple reed.
Absolutely.
Which other ones do you have in the arsenal over there? I mean, I'm guessing they're all the same.
They're all Mountain Hollow.
Mountain Hollow,
that's what this in here, I like this call for, like, I don't know, tree talking. The triple reed, I'm kind of a firm believer that if you get a bird to go, you need to stick with that call no matter what.
Absolutely.
Because I think he hears what you hear. But early in the morning, a lot of times I'll use this call because you can do that real quiet.
Right.
You don't have to push as hard with the triple reed.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is a double, so I think this is a double. This might be a triple too, but it seems like it's just a little bit easier to blow against and.
Right. The big thing that matters though is so this is a triple and it's a ghost. So one is it matters the cut, and two the thickness of the reed. So
Right.
like if that latex, like this is my hammer. You know what I mean? This is the one that I can belt.
Yeah.
And then this is my rasp. So I got like they call this the copperhead cut. So, obviously it looks like a snake.
Snake. Yeah.
And the rubber on here is thick, so I can rask out on that guy. And this one I think is actually a Mountain Hollow. It's either Mountain Hollow or a True Tone, I can't remember, but the way that split is and cut out on there, this thing is raspy and it gives a real nice real cadence. The problem is this call doesn't last long.
Oh, okay.
So like I have to buy like 3 of these at the beginning of the season. It's kind of like we were talking how it just doesn't get the same performance, and that rasp turns into
a kiki call.
A kiki, but it'll get almost too raspy where it's like it sounds like crap. You're like brap, brap, and like, that doesn't sound real. You know what I mean? And then I just introduced this one. I think this is a Hornet, which is just a regular split. I think this is only a double. But still split V. I like the split V's a lot. Split V's kind of like my mid-level, you know what I mean? And then the ghost call is what I use. Ghost cut is what I use for my quiet stuff in the morning, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah.
And then it all comes down to the thickness of them. But so you like to tree talk and do the morning stuff with that, and that doesn't have any cuts, right?
Just because it's just got that little cut on the side.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a
cutter. That is a cutter, yeah.
But it's easy. For me, this one's easy to blow against. It's just easy to, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it doesn't make that you can be quiet with it.
Yeah, you can be real quiet with it. You know, the tree talks are so quiet, you know what I mean? A lot of times that's what you're trying to listen for and you can't hear because they're, just that real light tone, before they get ready to fly down or whatever.
Right. So what's you got a purple and a gray.
Oh,
I've tried the gray. I think you might is that yellow a ghost?
No, nope. That's a raspy 4, I think it is. It's a cutter. It's basically the same. A lot of times I was going after this to get the material, like the old
hardness,
just to see, you know what I mean, to see. And this one's pretty hard, like this one. So this is a cutter, you know what I mean, or a V cut. So I just I don't know. Just try it. I'm like you. I tried different ones.
Yeah.
To go with. I don't remember all the names. They have so many of them.
Well, half of them you'll get it and you'll try it and you won't throw it away because that's why I have so many.
You'll just keep it.
I'll just keep it.
You just never know.
Right.
I mean, I might never use this, but a couple times, and then that one bird
likes it.
Yeah. So
I've done the same thing, or like this call. This is like a triple reed, and it has the one reed's cut back. So like, it's real easy to make sound on this call, but it's also real easy to screw it up. So like when I get excited or juiced up from the excitement of the turkey coming in, I'll screw up on this call, or this one will get soggy quick, and it's too. It can sound great, but it can sound like crap all the same. It's 50-50. It either sounds super real or it sounds super crappy. And one call will be perfect, and the next call, for a while I thought it was me, and I kept trying to stick with the call, and then I was like,
once I have a problem with a couple of these, that once they get wet, they're done.
You can't,
They're just, once they get soggy, that's soggy.
And that's why I carry around this 3-pack, so that way I can just pop it open, and I'll stick 4 in it, so it's 3-pack, but that way I can switch them around because...
Yeah, I have one like that. I think it's got, 3 or 5, whatever.
Yeah. Is that... So that's a split V, and then you have that one, that the brown is a cutter. What's the purple there?
Well, I'll tell you what the names are, but I can tell you real fast.
Well, I think just by looking at that, that's a split V, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a split V with a bat wing on it. That's a hybrid thing right there. I never seen one like that.
Yeah.
So that's, this is a bat wing right here. It's the same
Okay.
thing.
Yep.
I'll
Yep.
throw pictures in so people can see, but a bat wing almost literally just looks like a bat wing. It comes down to a V and then comes almost like a ducktail. So he has on this one,
Yeah.
I've never seen something like that. It's a ducktail, the bat wing, but then a partial split V. So that's
That's
almost like a cutter.
That's a Magnum cutter. That's
Magnum
what
cutter.
that is. Yep.
Okay.
That's a triple reed Magnum cutter. That's what they call it.
I like that.
So, and then you have, different one, I mean, I got to look at my phone because I don't, they have so many different cuts on different calls.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that, the orange one's my go-to. That's the Raspy 3. And, like, this is a Raspy Reaper, double reed.
Yeah, and that's just a plain, that's just
Yep.
a straight cutter call.
Yep. Right.
Yeah, so you can always recognize a cutter when it doesn't have, it just has sort of like, you see how the brown one, it has like a cut out of the whole side of it. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
really have any rhyme or reason to like the cut.
Yeah.
That's a cutter call. So
Yeah,
like,
sure.
what's the, I think that brown or the gray one is just a regular split V.
Yeah, I think it is. Yep, it's just a split V. I think they call this it's a Raspy call too, or they call that the Intimidator, Raspy
Yeah.
4 Intimidator.
I have that call.
Yeah,
I was real pumped because I thought I'd really like that call, but I don't like it.
I've used it a couple times. Just like anything else. I mean, you put them in, if it sounds right to you, or I talk to the birds, so you know what I mean. If the birds like it, I'm going to use it.
You're going to use it.
I throw a bunch of them in my turkey vest, and
You roll.
and that's basically what
See,
I go for.
You turned me on to these game hollow calls, and I bought a bunch of these.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is, and maybe it's my calling is too aggressive for the call, but I couldn't get these calls to last. Like I'd stretch it too quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing what I was talking about with with this old type material.
Yeah.
It lasted longer.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can see how thin that is.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is wore out.
Yeah.
I bet I've probably 6 birds. I've probably killed 6 birds with that call.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? Just
That call has a good life. You don't even want to get rid of it. That's like a
no,
trophy.
That's a trophy call,
Right,
there.
right. So let's go. I guess I want to kind of roll into that educational piece of what's your strategy. You know what I mean? You got. Let's walk people through sort of like the start of the hunt and what you do. You know what I mean? So what's your strategy? Let's start early morning strategy. You know what I mean? How do you
Okay.
how do you go with that?
Depending on where I'm at, first of all, I try to make sure I'm in a place where there's birds at. You got to make sure you're in a place where there's birds at. And just as well as I mean, they can be there in the evening, but the next morning
They're gone.
they're gone.
Right.
I mean, so you just got to put yourself in a place where there's birds at. And I think that I get out of the truck usually first thing, quiet, and I wait. A lot of times, if I know where the birds are at, I'll go to my blind or I'll go set up. I try to get in there, an hour before light.
Yeah.
When you're walking in the woods, something that a lot of people don't do, and I hunt fields a lot. I like fields. You got to skirt the edge of that field. Don't walk through the middle of it
Yeah. they'll
because
see
that
you.
moonlight they're going to see you.
Yeah.
So I usually try to skirt the edge of the woods on the back side. So my shadow or my silhouette is up against the woods. So I'm walking, birds are over here, so I'm walking across to get into my blind or whatever. So usually I'll just go in, set up, or I'll sit at the truck and wait. I got a place that the birds could be over here, birds could be over here, birds could be down here.
So many options.
Yeah,
Right.
so many options. You don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
A lot of times I go put them to bed, and see if I hear them or fly up or gobble or whatever. But in the morning, like I say, I mean, I usually get out of the truck. Sometimes I'll wait, listen. If I hear them down there, I'll bust loose and run down there as fast as I can, set something up and go. Or like you said, a lot of times don't even use a decoy.
Yeah.
Just get them to come in. If you can get them to come in, you
don't need
you're
it.
done.
Yeah.
You don't need it because they're going to look around. They're looking for that hen. So usually, but I go in, sit in, just wait.
That's what usually I'll do the same thing. It just depends. One, if I feel like it, and if I have time. It's like if I'm running late or I know where they're at and I got a lot of ground to cover, I'm not setting up, anything. I just be like, all right, I gotta go. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I take those, and I don't have the best decoys. I'll take those foam decoys because I
all I
throw them in
use.
the back.
Yeah, that's all I use.
Of my vest.
I mean, every bird I've killed, I've never used a decoy over, $10.
Yeah. Now I do have some fancy ones. If I'm hunting out back and I know like I have limited space and this is all I have to work with,
Yeah,
I'll take those decoys and then I'll like throw them out, and then I know I'm hunting that spot regardless of where the bird's at because I don't have a choice.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And then when I'm done, they get thrown back in the blind, and I'm coming back out there, a day or two later, give
Yeah.
it a rest, and I'm doing the same thing. I might move slightly, but not much. You know what I mean? Versus if I'm in a huge open area, typically I don't have the time or take the time because I typically walk until I hear something, and then I'll set up. But you have your hot spots.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So you getting in there right from the truck, you're trying to get in there early, hit a setup depending on where the bird's at. So do you go, if they're roosted on the mountain, do you try to get up on the side or you stay down in a valley or what?
I usually, I like to try to get 150, 200 yards from them.
Yeah.
If I can.
Yeah.
I think you got a better chance.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure. But I've also bumped birds. They say birds won't fly at night. That's bullshit. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I have been turkey hunting and jump a bird right off the roost, and they fly.
Yeah.
They'll get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done that, and you don't know that the bird's in there. You're trying to get in there close to them, and you're a lot closer than you think.
Yeah.
I've also set up, where I've went in and set right underneath the tree where the hen's at. And you're sitting there in the morning, and the next thing you know, she's right above you, and you're thinking, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you are. You're busted, and she flies to the gobbler, and she takes them away.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen. So, but I think the best thing is myself. I like to go in the morning. I like to get up, set up early. I know about where the birds are at. If I'm sitting in a field, I know the birds are in that area. I'll sit in that field, put my decoys up, and I'll call.
Yeah.
And, not a lot. I'll hear, if you hear a bird gobble, call to him, see if he gobbles. If he gobbles, I don't call back. I shut up. And then I'll wait. Then when he gobbles again, I might make a couple yelps.
Yeah.
Or a couple purrs. And then I'll let it go. I want him to wonder why I only called to him a couple times.
Yeah.
Because in the real world, if you listen to hens, if you're on an area where there's 500 hens, you're going to hear them all
day, yeah.
You're going to hear them going at each other,
right.
Back and forth. So a lot of times, that's what I'll do. And I want him to say, okay, I need to go see her.
Yeah.
Because she talked to me, but now she's not talking to me anymore.
What's going on? He gets antsy.
I want to know what's going on. Why isn't she talking to me anymore?
Yeah, they're curious.
So, try to pull them in that way. I've had them fired up. I think it's all about talking to them.
Yeah.
You get one fired up, and he's, one shot after another, after another, after another. I think it's like, okay.
So let's start with some tree talking, and I'll probably have to edit this because we'll screw up because none of our calls are wet.
Right.
None of them are ready to go, and who knows? This might sound like crap through the audio. I never. Yeah. What's worse is when you forget to do that before you go in the woods. I usually sit in my truck and get all my calls like lubed up and ready.
Well, that's what a lot of times I'll get a call early, and I'll use that call, and I swear, if I practice with that call, it like warms it to get it to where it fits perfect and everything is perfect. And then that's the call I use a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, but tree talking stuff, Whoop, that sounded bad. See, you have a really awesome cluck and purr that I cannot get, but you really get that. You really get that roll of the. I can't get that. My purr is just like a. I can't get the purr. You actually get a.
Yeah, well, I don't. That first bird that I ever killed that I told earlier, that bird came in. He purred
The whole way.
the whole time he was coming around there. He kept purring, and I heard that just as clear as day. And I was like, man, I got to mimic that sound.
Yeah.
I got to mimic that sound. So I just, I don't know why, but it's easy to do. I just put my tongue out in front and flutter my tongue. Yep.
See, that's all mine.
See, when I.
Yeah. See that's a very distinct, real sounding purr. Where mine, I don't like my purr, but I can't.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, as good as a caller is Rob, my friend. He does a purr different. He lets his lips flutter.
He does a. Yeah.
So he's like, I go.
I don't like it. I can't. Yeah.
I can't do it. It's one thing I can't do. I can't use my lips to do it. Now I do to do the cluck or the. See, you do it that way. Yeah.
I hate my purr. Yeah, you really pop. See that, and that sounds a lot like you taking almost a box call. Like when you get the real hard cluck on there.
Like you shut off.
Yeah,
and
you
Rob
really
taught
shut.
me that. That's,
you really
and it's
shut.
shutting it down quick.
When you pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I can't cluck with this call. It's too. So that's run us through a tree talk sequence of what you hear. So you'll hear like a little.
I've seen them. So a lot of times on a tree talk, like when they're, what I've seen birds do, I've been right below them and watched them, so they'll walk that limb. They'll walk back and forth. I don't think a turkey likes to fly.
No, they don't.
I think the landing sucks for them.
They're too heavy.
I've seen gobblers hit the sides of a bank and just like, looks like a 747 just rolling, Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I think that's why they get nervous before they fly. I think that's why they do that cackle, that, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know why, but going through a series of like what I hear and what I've seen in the woods, the turkey will be walking back and forth on the limb before they get ready to leave. And they'll, early morning, of course, they're just sitting there all, huddled up, their eyes are closed and they're, real
tree.
Real, just that real quiet, you can hardly hear, it's like and it might sound more in this, so I don't know.
Right.
First I go. Let me see here.
Yeah, I got to get them loosened up. What I usually do is like spit on it and then blow into it. But see, in the woods,
it's more like.
Yeah. That's usually I do it with the other call, and sometimes I'll feel. But see, I don't like my cluck, so I don't cluck much.
I'm gonna put this call in because this is a newer one, so it's
got a lot of better sound.
Well, I don't know if it's better sound. It's just a.
See, that's such a good purr. I love your purr. It's such a good purr. My purr sucks compared to your purr. I just can't get that.
Well, I don't know why. I don't know why my tongue flutters and does like it. For some reason, I don't know why, but that's the first thing Rob said. That's a perfect purr.
That is a perfect purr.
It's a perfect purr. And it's like if I tried to purr, from the very first get go, I
It's just how it
started it
was.
just how it was. So
Yeah. I just can't get.
it's like your gobble is awesome. You know what I mean? You're when you gobble, it's awesome. My gobble is,
That's it. It took forever to, and I haven't practiced it, so I'm going to do it. And see everybody's like, that sounds like shit.
Well, I figured out a way to do it, but I do it different than you. I use the top lip.
Oh, so you do this? You do this?
Well, no, it's like this.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
So, and I can push it out hard, so it's a,
Yeah.
so it's, but it's different than what yours. Yours sounds more throaty when you do it.
It depends on the call, but I've had some decent ones. I mean, I haven't tried this. I haven't tried this in a year.
I
So
know, me either.
I'm thinking about. I'm like, how do I do it? It's kind of like a duck call when you do, and it's so like the big thing is like I struggled in the beginning to try to get like a word to it because everybody's like, when you do a cluck, they're like, say puck, and
Yeah.
I'm like that sound like crap. So
Yeah.
what worked for me was tuck. Like
Yeah.
I say tut, like tuck or tut, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
that worked.
Yeah.
So you just got to kind of find a word, and when it clicks kind of hard to say. But the gobble,
Well, it's hard too because you get, I when I first started, it was more like I would get the. I mean, I think everybody.
that's my dad. I take my dad turkey hunting. He tries to put the call in, and I'm sitting there trying to teach him, And I've worked with. We'll be in the cabin for 2 hours, sitting there trying to go. All right, you just gotta do, and you're like, this time you're gonna get it. And
And over the years,
I'm like,
somebody, like I got buddies of mine, they'll say, how's this, and they'll get in the car and they'll, it's like. Does that sound all right? I said, no, it sounds like shit.
don't do that in the woods.
Yeah, I'm telling. I mean, I want to be honest with them because I don't want them to go out and fail.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want them to go out and do good. So
You got to practice.
So you got to practice, and once you get it, I think it's like riding a bike.
You
can jump right on and go, but if you don't practice and you sound like shit that year, the next year you're going to sound the exact same way, like shit.
Yeah.
So let's just work on it to where you get that real nice crisp sounds.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest.
Well, that's the thing too. When I used to drive down to Owings Mills down there, I was every day I'd have my dash lined up with turkey calls to and from work, and we're in March 1st now, so typically I'm usually started by January, mid-January. I start to get the itch. I'm like, all right,
yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm ready for turkey, and then February hits, and I'm like, that's when I usually start busting them out. This year is the first time I've gotten them out again, March 1st, but typically I'm full bore ready to go.
Yeah.
Because what happens is if I practice too much, somehow I get worse. My mouth starts getting like tight.
lazy or
tight, and I'm like, I can't get a pop. I don't know if you ever had that if you call too long
sometimes
all day.
if
you're
call,
like, you
it
just
sounds
can't
like
make
a duck.
Yeah, you can't get anything to come out
Is
right.
that a goose? Am I calling a goose
right.
or am I
and you're
calling
sitting there
a
like
turkey?
pat pat, and you're like, my mouth won't do what I want it to do right now, and you kind of get like, I feel like if I over practice, I almost think about it too much versus like put it in my mouth and start ripping. You know what I mean?
I'm a utility foreman. I run a hoe, and I'll take the call and I'll put it in.
I bet you do run a hoe. Oh, sorry, couldn't help myself.
So a lot of times, I'll be in there, and my guys I'll drive them freaking crazy because I'm up there and I'm, and I'm turkey calling, especially, a week before because I am trying to get on my game, you know, and it's like, and they're like, oh my God, would you please shut up? I'm tired of hearing it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I got to practice, man. This is the time I have.
You have to. All right, we got off the topic there. I still got to explain tree calling.
Okay.
So like,
all right, so yeah, so
tree calling, you go in, you're set up. You're sitting there. It's not even light out yet. Do you start calling before it's light, or do you wait for them first?
Nope, I wait for them. If I hear a hen, I'll wait. If I don't hear a hen and I hear a gobble, I'll let him gobble 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
I
really.
won't. I won't hit right back. But most of the time in the woods, my experience, the hens talk before the gobblers do. So if I know I'm in a good woods, and I know like the night before,
Right.
I'm there, I will, first thing, I'll sit in the blind. I'll do a little bit of calling. Of course, you know as well as I do, we're not sitting in a tree.
No.
Okay. Turkey can pinpoint you within 3 foot,
Very.
500 yards away. They know
Yeah.
exactly where you're at.
They hear very good.
So they know that if you're on the ground, okay, they know that you're on the ground. They know you're not up in that tree. I really, truly believe that.
Yeah.
I like to back up next to a woods line that has a hard fall on it, because if I'm setting up on top of that edge, he doesn't know if I'm in a tree that's just a little bit behind me, or if he's in a, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he doesn't know if I'm.
He doesn't know exactly where.
So, if I know I'm in a woods, sometimes I'll make that first little tree talk and that little, just a.
Real light stuff.
Something that you wouldn't even think you could hear.
That I think is the key that you needed to say, because a lot of people,
they come out.
Yeah, just start howling at it.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, like throwing a Hail Mary, you know what I mean? And it's like,
you didn't even warm it up yet.
Yeah,
you didn't even talk to her.
You didn't exactly right.
Yeah,
right.
right. Yeah, you gotta ease into the conversation.
Right.
You gotta buy her beer first. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You'd be like, all right, how you doing? Nice to meet you. My name's Barry. Yeah, here's your beer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And they'll just be like, hey, and you're like, no, can't.
Well,
do
that's
it.
what he's doing.
Right.
You're acting like the female.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're kind of you're being the female. So,
you gotta play hard to get.
When he gobbles. Right, exactly. When he gobbles, he's us. Hey, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm gonna buy a drink. He's like, whoa.
Yeah, settle down a little bit.
I just woke up.
So, but yeah, she's just basically, sitting there. She's calling, talking soft, So I don't know. I mean, it's just that's how I do it. You know what I mean?
No, I get it.
A lot of times, if he gobbles right off the bat, I'll wait. I won't answer him right away. I'll do that little tree talk. Sometimes I will do a tree talk, and I won't say another word.
That's it. You just shut it down.
And shut it down. I've shut it down before, and nothing. And then as soon as it gets light, I have my decoys out there. Okay, if I have my decoys, as soon as it gets light, when they're getting ready to fly down, and that's hard to judge when they're going to fly.
It's very hard,
because if it's a cloudy morning
or rainy,
they might
they'll
sit
live
in the tree.
there.
Yeah, that might sit in the tree till 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So what I do is, a lot of times I'll wait on a nice crisp morning. I know they're going to fly down as soon as it's daylight, as soon as that, sun starts, breaking in.
Right.
I'll make that, that, quick call that's on the ground, like just a real light,
Let them know. Now, do you ever hit the fly down cackle? Is that a call you make?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I have. It's never really worked that good for me.
Me neither.
I mean, I think
I never got anything out of it.
Again, I think it's the whole point is that we're not in a tree and we're not flying down. So you do a cackle call,
when they're
sure,
coming
we
out.
all practice it and we all want to do it, you know what I mean? But a cackle call is on the way. It's not like you can get up and take off running, you know what I mean, and say, that's just how, I feel about it. Now, I think if that bird is 1,000 yards away and he's gobbling and you do a cackle,
you can get something.
I think, it's a loud, hard call, and I think he's hearing that, kind of like cutting. A bird that won't say a word, you start cutting,
it'll wake him up.
He'll, whether it's a shot gobble or whatever, he's let it rip.
Sometimes I think I've cut too much and scared them off though. Like, again, a lot of what you learn is through the YouTube or this, that, and the other, and trying to watch what somebody else does.
Sure.
And you're like, then you try and do it, and I don't think my cut doesn't sound bad. It's just maybe I just like too aggressive for what they're used to. Because again, it comes down to hearing a bird in the woods. They don't make that much noise. That you get a couple. That's when it comes to the difference between the real and the fake. What you really taught me was you get a little bit of that tree talk, like you said. It's minimal. So you get. Oh, it's upside down. That kind of helps. That's up. I don't know why, and I can't do it with this call, but that's one of my favorites. To sit there and do that little whimper, like a.
Yeah.
And that's usually that's all my morning thing is, because like I won't really purr too much, but whereas everybody thinks that's not loud enough, nobody can hear that. They hear it.
They hear it.
They hear it, because that's like I was trying to say. You don't really know what a turkey sounds like until it's like 10 yards away from you, and they make all those little noises all the time. But you'll never know that.
Yeah, they're always clucking when they're eating.
Right.
It's just such a just like a chicken. If you get close to a chicken, I mean, really,
they don't shut up.
They don't shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and a turkey's the same way.
Yeah. So I've done that in the tree talk, and I gave up on the fly down cackle because, to your point, I think it sounded realistic, but I'm not moving. So like, I would do that, and then once it was like, say, you get that crisp morning, and I always typically wind up hunting on the bottom. If they're on a ridge, I'm down in the valley.
Yeah.
So having a trouble getting him, and I know he's either A, still in the roost, I don't know, I haven't heard him fly because he's too far away, or B, he's just not moving. Or you get him, they'll strut back and forth on the top of that ridge. 1 minute you hear him here, and then back and forth, and he won't come down. So that's when I would try to do, and I would just literally take the sound from the top and turn my head.
Yeah.
As I make it,
Yeah.
I haven't done that in a while. That sounded like shit. This is stuck. That sounds terrible. Let's try this one. So I'd be like,
yeah.
And then start doing a little cluck and purr. That still sounded bad, but either way, that's the only time I would do a fly down cackle, and I never would get anything out of it. So I stopped.
Yeah, well, I think in a long, like, if a bird's 1,000 yards away, and that's when, I'd hear him, I say, I'm having a hard time hearing him. Now, I know his ears are a lot better than mine. So if I do a fly down, maybe, he'll try to pinpoint me to say, where is he exactly at?
Right.
So, I'll do the same thing. But what I do is I kind of almost feel like the turkey.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to put yourself in their place. Like they're walking, back across the limb. Like, I'm going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready to fly down. So if I do the cackle, I'll do the.
Yeah. Like it's a nervous thing. It's like a
they're
nervous thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they coast out, and then they hit the ground, and and then a couple yelps, or sometimes they just boom, they shut down.
Yours is more sporadic than mine. Mine just always winds up being a tut 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 tut, and that's how I do it. It's like a tut 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 tut, where like I've heard people call like the same way you do it, where it's like, but it's like popcorn. You know what I mean? Where mine's just like almost like a duck, tuck, 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 tuck. You know what I mean? I never could do the popcorn thing very well, but I like the sound of the popcorn. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't,
it's random.
Yeah, it's and I'm imitating what I've heard
exactly
over the years.
Exactly.
It's funny because you always hear them, do the the cackle call, when they're flying down. I mean, you always hear it,
Right.
but it's like I'm back to that same thing that they're doing that, but I'm not up in the tree, and my cackle call is coming from all right here.
Right.
So does it work?
Doesn't work.
Back to what you were saying. You don't get a lot of response out of it.
Yeah. It doesn't. You're trying to do it because you want to sound real, but then you got to ask yourself. I mean, you think it does sound real, does it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is most of the time I've been in the woods, the only time I really hear a cackle call is when they're up on a high ridge.
Yeah.
And they're flying down. You know
right.
what I mean?
A long flight.
Yeah, like a long flight.
Right.
Most of the time I've seen them, they tree talk and then they hop limbs down.
Yep.
And they're only a little bit, and then they're up there, and then they start yelping on the ground.
They don't have a far go. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that, and I've heard that, but I know exactly what you're talking about. So, all right, we tree talked them, talked about the fly down cackle. Then what's sort of your next move? I mean, from there, you just try to get a gobble. Is this when you start yelping?
Well, I'm hoping I already heard a gobble.
Yeah.
Of course, we all are.
Yeah, right.
But I'll just do a series. If I don't hear a bird, I know they're in the area. I may have heard one, gobble, and I heard him fly down, and he's, I know he's not in the area or he's whatever. I think a lot of people are way too impatient.
Oh, yeah.
I think they call way too much.
Oh, yeah.
If you listen to the woods, it'll tell you how to do it.
Exactly.
A hen will come around, just like you said. She'll come around. She's that, that real quiet, just those little clucks, like she's feeding. There's not a whole lot being said. And I think that's what a lot of people, now if I hear a turkey gobble, especially around 8:30, 9 o'clock, when I know he's already probably been with another hen and he's leaving that hen and
you're lighting him up.
Loves, lovesick, he's wanting some more.
Yeah.
I need to get another hen. Where's she at? And, then I'll reach out, try to call and, give a couple, but I always wait. I always wait till later in the morning. I don't like to, first thing off, yeah, I'll call a couple, especially if I don't hear a bird or if I hear a bird a long way off. I'll do the old yup series and then just shut up. I usually wait for a half hour, 45 minutes before I make another call.
Really? Just one Yelp series and that's it?
Yep. That's just, some people say it's too long. Some people say you're waiting too long. I have had my best experience with that. I probably killed most of my turkeys coming in completely silent.
Really?
Not a gobble one. Never heard a gobble, and I'm sitting there. Next thing you know, he's standing in front of me,
and you had no idea.
And I had no idea.
Well, and that's I think a lot of people, unless it's a Jake, 100 yards, he'll gobble. Anything within that, you won't hear a peep, and you won't even know he's there.
Right.
So that's you're sitting there and you're just waiting for another gobble, and then you start getting frustrated because you're like, where'd he go?
Yeah.
And you're like, he went the other way. You start, and you know how it is. You get in your own head. You're like, he's heading up. He went the other way. I gotta go. Do I push? Do I pull back?
Do I jump up and take off running and try to get someplace else and get around him?
What you learn is how many times you stand up or get ready to turn, and he's right there, and he goes, and you're like, no, and you're just instantly mad because you wasted hours of your time because you were impatient, and then you realize, I just gotta stay still. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you'll see again, you gotta get these YouTube videos that everybody's intense and
well,
which happens.
Yeah.
But
don't get me wrong, I've had some, and just like you, you had some perfect turkey hunts. Textbook. You call, he comes down, boom. I had a hunt. 2017. Got in a truck. I was standing. I was getting ready to go in the woods. And I had all my gear on. I had my vest on. And it was on this particular farm I have. And it's a big farm. It's the one farm I was telling you about. And I'm sitting at the truck and I hear a gobble. And I hear another gobble and another guy. And they're way up here. They're 1,000, 1,200 yards away. So I said, I need to get up there, get up closer. So I took the truck and I jumped back in the truck, took off up there, got in, backed in. You know, I am literally, I don't know, it's probably 10 minutes before light. The
Yeah.
sky's already blue.
Yeah, you can
It's
see
like,
it.
oh my God, man, I'm gonna bump these birds out of here. I said, I know, you know, again, you know, knowing that I got to skirt the woods line, I got to stay on that woods line. The hill kind of was rounded, and I could hear the birds down in here. So, I was running full tilt as hard as I could. I get down there, I go out, and I drive a decoy in, just a hen, and I come back, and I'm, you know, out of breath. Of course, I'm out of shape. So, you know, I done run 350 yards down across this field and you know, skirting the wood line, trying to, you know, be careful as I'm doing it because I know I'm running out of time. So I get down there and I sit down next to this little tree. It's probably, you know, 6 inches in diameter. I got my back against. Of course, there's some sticker bushes, so I'm in good shape like that. Throw my, you know, throw my face mask up, and you know, and I'm sitting there, and I start, and I go. I can't even breathe. You know
That's
what
what
I
I
mean?
was just
And I'm
gonna
like,
say. I've done it. I've done it where I've been sitting there and I'm breathing heavy. You're just like, and you're like, oh, it's in my mouth. And you try to put it in, you're like,
right.
all right, I gotta wait. I gotta wait.
Yeah. So
You gotta catch your breath.
right. So I said, okay, that's not going to work.
Right.
Let me go back to square one here, and I just calm myself down, and I you know, finally stop breathing, and there's like 5 birds that are, and they're gobbling, and they're tearing the woods up, and they're all still in the trees. You can still hear they're up high, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I gotta get this, you know, got to get a bird. So, you know, I sit down and literally all I did as I went. And that was it. Put the call in my mouth, on the side of my mouth, and it was like 6:05 when I did that. And I got the gun up, and all of a sudden, and I look up, and on that ridge, 50 yards away. Now I'm not kidding you. I sit down at 6:03. 6:05, I made the call. He comes, gobbles at 6:06, walks down to my decoys, walks around the decoy one time, and he was a good bird, and I let him have it. 6:07, he's on
You're
the ground.
done. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Less than 10 minutes.
I mean, less than 10 minutes.
That's textbook.
Yeah, the whole hunt's less than 10 minutes. And I didn't even know at that time where the birds were.
Yeah.
As soon as I got out of the truck, I heard them. I ran up there. I ran down, and I was like, you know,
Boom,
I done wasted 5 minutes, 6 minutes getting back in the truck, driving up there. You know, so now where I'd been hearing the birds, because I had been hunting there, I've been hearing them in this bottom. I figured, well, I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a textbook hunt, though. You know what I mean? Doing it like that, and within less than 10 minutes, you're in, out, and gone. You know, on your way.
Which kind of is a shitty hunt.
Yeah, you almost want the struggle.
Yeah. I mean, really. I mean, you know, another time I was in West Virginia with a friend of mine, Gary. We had been there all week. I'd been hunting. There was 4 of us in there hunting. None of us killed anything.
Mm-hmm.
Gary comes in on a Thursday night, and he couldn't get there till later. So this is the guy that had the property down the Eastern Shore. So the one time he was able to come in, I said, I'll take you in my blind, and we'll try to do some, you know, kill a bird. So he's like, okay. So you got to know Gary. He's a great guy, and he's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always funny. So I start calling. I mean, first thing in the morning, I hear a gobble. And Gary's sitting there next to me. He says, "You gonna call back? You gonna call back?" And I'm like, "Nope, just wait."
Yeah.
These birds in West Virginia, they're smart birds. They get it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I just wait for a minute. So he gobbles again, and they're probably 500 yards away, 600 yards away. So they're down over this ridge. So I'm like, all right. So I put a couple yelps out there, just a couple yelps. Soon as I yelped, he cut me off.
The gobbler did.
The gobbler did.
Yeah, that's a good sign if they cut you off.
Yep. I mean, the first yelp, the second yelp was over top of his gobble. So I mean, it was like,
he's
bam.
aggressive.
So I was like, wow, man. I told Gary, I said, he's a good bird. I said,
he's hot to trot,
he's
buddy.
hot, man.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, freaking, he's sitting there and he says, aren't you going to say anything? Aren't you going to call? I said, nope. I said, I'm not calling yet. He says, you're not going to call? I said, no, I'm not going to call. Next thing you know, I hear gobble. It got light. It was later, you know what I mean? Probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes it went by. And, hear this gobble. And I said, they're coming. I said, there's two birds.
Yeah.
You could hear a double gobble. I said, right there, man. I said, right there on top of the ridge. And he's like, you think? I said, yeah, they're coming. So waited for a couple more minutes. So I didn't hear nothing. Just make it. I literally, yep. And next thing you know, and he landed right in front of my decoys. And this bird his wings were almost all white. I mean, he was pretty.
Yeah.
And of course, I'd killed a lot of birds on Gary's property. Gary, first time he had ever been there, and I'm like, shoot the bird. I said, kill that. I said, he's a nice bird. Kill him. And he's like, I'm not shooting him. I said, Gary, shoot the bird. He's like, I'm not killing him. You shoot him. I said, no, you shoot him. He says, you guys have been here all week. Ain't none of you killed any birds. I'm going to feel bad if I kill a bird. I said, Gary, shoot the bird, man. I'm calling him in for you. I mean, I've killed
plenty,
30 birds here, 20 birds here. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm fine.
I'm good.
You shoot. Nope, you shoot. So he turns and puts his fingers in his ears and he puts his head down. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Well, he flew down and he was a good bird and he had a Jake with him. So the Jake was there. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm hitting him in the leg and he's shaking his head. No, I'm not shooting him. So all this is playing out. It only probably was 5 minutes. I said, this bird's going to leave.
Yeah, you got to go.
I gotta kill this bird. If somebody's gonna kill this bird, you gotta kill this bird. So I get the gun up and I'm just getting ready to shoot and look, and here comes another longbeard.
Just trotting on in.
Just strutting in, coming in. And I'm like, and he's shaking his head, and I pulled his fingers out of his ears. I said, Gary, there's another bird coming in right there. I said, another longbeard. I said, let's do a double. Let's pull a double on these birds. And he looks out and he says, oh, yeah, okay. So he gets his gun and we're sitting there.
Now.
He's ready now. You know what I mean? So we ended up doubling up.
That's awesome.
And it was an awesome hunt. But, there again, I literally called 3 times. And those birds probably showed up around 7:30. And it got light at 10 minutes after 6.
Yeah.
And
just like that, they're there.
They're there. So
see, and that's the important thing about, I think, getting to the right spot too. You know what I mean? And doing your research, and you've got an area. So kind of like you said in the beginning, is like, well, rule number 1, you got to know there's turkeys there. But rule number 2, just because you don't hear them doesn't mean they're not there. Right. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like rule 1, rule 2. So when I kind of get, you're talking about the hen call. Of sort of like after the setup, post setup, you do the fly down cackle, and then from there, I'll kind of be quiet for a little while, and then I'll do the lonesome hen. So nothing, and then I'll pick it up. So I pace it. I'll pick up the pace. So start out with the tree talk, boop, 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 and then I do or do not do the fly down cackle. And then from there, lonesome hen. And I start picking it up. I'm obviously not going to take the time in between, but then I'll get real aggressive with it. And I'll start out with 3 yelps, pick it up to 5. And I'll kind of stop at like 6 to 7, depending. Because what people don't know is there's assembly yelp too, which is sometimes if you ever hear an assembly yelp in the woods. My first time I heard it, I'm like, this is an idiot hunter, doesn't know what he's doing.
Exactly right.
I'm like, this guy's out there like chop 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 chop, and you're like, shut up, shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they really do that. That's the assembly yelp to bring in.
That's
the
that's
boss.
when there's a lot of them out and around, and they're trying to bring them together.
So what I'll do is I'll try to start with a couple of those, and if I get a hen to respond, I'll pull that assembly yelp. You know what I mean? And try to hope that she's got a gobbler with him. So, I mean, there's two scenarios after that. One, either something responds to that triple yelp, that first chop, 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 and then I kind of shut up and then wait for him to gobble and then feed him just a little bit. If there's another hen, you know what I mean, then I pull out that assembly yelp of long chops and then see what she does. And then I'll shut up after that and see the responses. Sometimes, though, too, if she does an assembly yelp back, then that's when I start cutting her off with some cuts. You know, I'll get that.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And then she starts getting mad and coming in. And then sometimes they'll bring in. I've had them bring in. I've always screwed it up because I've never gotten a turkey like that. But I've had them come towards me. You know what I mean? A gobbler following.
Yeah.
But that's the hardest part is the volume towards the end, and that's what took me a long time to understand. So I could bring the bird from afar, and they'd always get hung up because, like I said, they shut down within that 100-yard range. They kind of shut down and shut up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yep.
And that's where I'd get confused because I'm sitting there still sounding off like, dap, 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 dap.
Sure.
And then I'm like, where are they at? Where are they at? What's going on?
Yeah,
and then
you
I'm
think
like,
you got him, and you think he's coming, but now I'm close enough that I know that's really not a turkey down there.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
Right, exactly.
Dumbass.
Because you're still sitting there sounding off. And then that's what I said when I finally clicked for me, because the first turkey, like I said, was pure ignorance. I got lucky. And then I had a dry spell. But when it finally clicked for me is when that hen was right in front of me and then talking to you, and you're like, you just got to be the quiet stuff. So once I get him going from there, it's over. You know what I mean? If I can tell it's a distance, I'll try to juice them up by cutting and doing the yelp, 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 tip, 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 yelp, 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 tip, 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 and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And then if they start coming, I'll let him think he doesn't know where I'm at, or you'll hear a gobble, and I might give him another little bit of juice just to get him close. And then now I'm finally to the point where once he's coming in, and I know I'm guessing within that 100-yard range, I go back to almost like a tree talk thing, like a feeding.
Yeah,
in that case,
get the exactly.
And then let him come slowly. And then I get to a point where you just shut up. You don't do anything anymore and let him just keep roaming around because now he's looking for you.
I'm big on that purr. I'm big on the purr because I hear him purr all the time.
Yeah.
Now, you don't want to really like purr and give a real cluck because then you're giving that warning cluck, that warning purr
putt.
Cluck. Yeah, that putt. So I, a lot of times I'll just do that purr as like a turkey's feeding that, just the long drug out purr. It's like a. Got it upside down or something.
Yeah.
Quiet,
Very quiet. Because if you get that cluck, and that's another thing, that's why I don't like to cluck too much, is because a cluck is harder than everybody thinks it is. Because it's so easy. It's almost like anything. It's so easy. It's easy to overcomplicate it.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Because there's a bunch of different clucks, and a cluck is really very close to a putt.
Yeah,
It's all just how sharp it is.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to screw up on a mouth call where you're flirting with the danger zone. That's why I don't cluck much, because you're flirting with the danger zone of where it's too far or not enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and when you're trying to hit that perfect level of cadence and sound, You know, it's easy to have the call in the wrong spot, or the reed gets stuck, or you're just sitting there and you start getting antsy or getting excited, and you got or like that right there, or and then it gets too cutty putty and then they start doing that up into the woods, and you're like, shit. You know what I mean?
Well, how many times though have you known somebody that absolutely cannot call for shit, but they kill a bird?
Oh yeah.
Because I think sometimes you put a lot of emphasis on how perfect the call is. I've heard hens in the woods.
They sound
just
awful.
like you said. I'm telling you, there's no way that's a hen. And then she'll come popping out, and it's like, girl, you need a voice change.
You got to work on your vocals, baby.
I killed a bearded hen, and I'm going to tell you what, she had the god awfulest voice you ever heard in your life. I mean, she literally sounded like that beard was dragging on her vocal cords.
Ugh. I've heard that, and I'm like, that's a hunter that doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, see, I mean,
it's not always true.
There's been times in the woods, and Brad can vouch for this. I mean, we were in the woods one time. It was me and Rob and Brad, and we were down Eastern Shore. And one of the turkey hunts that Brad went on with me, because he doesn't
hunt no more.
Okay, so he was sitting behind a log, or sitting like backed up to a log. I'm sitting in the middle, and Rob's sitting next to a log on this side, and 8:30. We haven't heard anything. We know there's birds there and haven't heard anything. We're all just about asleep. Sun's beating down on us. It feels great.
You get that lazy,
like, oh
yeah.
you're
like,
so good.
Just taking a nap.
So I had actually just bought this box, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm just going to reach out with this box call and see if I can get something going, because here it is, 8:45, and we haven't heard anything. So same place where Rob had called my first bird in, and I said, you know what? I just picked this up. So I picked it up, and yep. And I mean, as soon as I hit it, right behind us, probably 300-400 yards away, you could hear it through the woods. I mean, we were sitting in a field edge. There's a road that comes down this way. Rob was overlooking the road. Brad was looking the field, and I had a decoy set up. And the whole setup was to get the birds to either come by Rob or by Brad, to, as they're coming towards the decoys, for one of those two to shoot it.
Yeah.
So we hear it. Next thing you know, it gobbles. So Rob says, I think he's coming. And I was like, I think so. Well, at that point, Rob had always told me they can pinpoint you within 3 foot. And I'm like,
I believe it.
I'm like, I couldn't believe it. Mm-hmm. Back then, I was like, bullshit.
Yeah,
that's
You're like, yeah, sure.
So, I as I'm putting the box call down, as a lot of times they do. Yep.
Yeah.
Just the one little, I'm sitting there, and I'm. Yeah, just.
I mean,
literally, just a.
That's why I don't carry them. I don't like them, because if you, I've been sitting there already and turned and been like.
Right. That's why I got this.
A rubber band. Is it a rubber band, or is it just solid?
It's a silencer. It goes, basically over.
Where'd you get that?
I found them up at the hunting show. They're awesome.
I need that, because that's why I do the rubber band joint. As you saw, yeah.
It holds it up off, so it's great. But literally, I put the box, and that was before I had this. Put the box call down, and and he gobbles, and he is literally in 20 seconds. He is 75 yards behind us.
That's a fast close.
I mean, he is running full tilt. And I'm sitting there with the gun up on my knee, and I got the gun pointing towards the decoy, and I can hear him coming through the woods. He comes in, and he literally stands right beside me. I mean, he's right there. I can hear him breathing. I mean, he's and because he had just got finished running. He had jumped up on the log where Brad was sitting, right beside Brad, and come down between Brad and I. And Brad's seeing him, but Brad can't shoot at him because he'll shoot me and Rob. So Rob, he knows the bird's right there because he can hear it. He's literally 15 yards this side of me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, holy shit. Well, I'm sitting there and I'm trying not to breathe because I know this bird
is going to
see me breathing or see something. Well, I'm sitting there and I got my gun up and I'm like, he's going to walk right out this deer trail because I'm sitting on a deer trail looking right through it. I said, he's going to walk right out the deer trail and I'm going to rip his head off. Just like you said.
He gone.
Next thing you know, and he's getting out of there. Well, to this day, still don't know how, but somehow Rob is sitting this way, and he's right-handed. He's got a log that's this tall beside him. He's got a tree up to his back. He jumps up and spins around this way and shoots that bird and kills it.
Really?
And he got that bird. And, it's still marked on here, It was 11-inch bird, and that was 04.
Oh, you date that? That's awesome.
5104.
I saw that earlier. I was wondering what you had written on there, and I couldn't tell. So this is everything that came from that call.
From this call, that's what I've killed on that call.
That's pretty awesome.
That's what I just write it on the side so I know, just memories,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Just something to, something to think about.
That's a good idea.
But, so, that was just one of those things that I called one time, and at 300 yards, that bird was there. And if I would have never set that box call down, and it clucked, it made that one last little sound, we probably would have lost that bird.
Yeah, would have been game over.
It would have been game over because I set the call down. Rob said, he's coming. Well, when I set the call down and he gobbled again at 75 yards, I knew he was coming.
Yeah.
Because he was right behind us.
Yeah.
And, you can talk to Brad. Brad will vouch for that. He sat right there and watched the whole thing. I was so wound up. It was stickers when Rob shot this bird. It was in the thickest garbage you ever seen in your life. And I was so wound up. It was Rob's bird. But I was like a dog going there to get it.
You're like, I got it. Hey, look at it. Ah, you're all excited. Yeah.
I run in, grab the bird. Because even though it wasn't my bird, I called it in, and that's the awesome thing about turkey hunting. You can be two of you, and both of you can get that bird.
Well, yeah. It's
absolutely both of you can kill that bird.
That's why I'll go out and call for people. I won't even take a gun just because it's like.
Especially when the season's over and I've killed my birds. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm ready, man. Let's go.
Yeah, I just want to call in the bird.
Because at that point, you think you're king shit.
Well, yeah. But on top of that, though, it's kind of like, you know how it is. You tell a hunting story, and the guy's just sitting there like, uh-huh. You're like, he's not buying my story. But if the other guy's there, it's like, you talk to this guy. Like you just said, you talk to Brad. He was right between us.
Right.
I'm not lying. And it was like, uh-huh. And I'll talk to Brad, and he'll be like, no, you're really, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like,
exactly.
You almost want that buddy with you to validate your story.
Absolutely.
Because you don't hunt with somebody else with deer hunting, because you're like, whereas, a massive rack walks in, you're like mushing the guy out of the way because you're like, you're not shooting my deer.
Right.
Turkey hunting, you're like, there's there's more out there. It's not the same as a deer. You see a massive buck, it's a once in a lifetime. But to turkey, you're like, there'll be another one tomorrow, or like, you know what I mean?
Or there won't.
That's happened. That's happened multiple times. I think that's kind of almost it for the calls, though.
Well, some people might want to know about cutting or whatever.
Yeah,
you
cutting.
know what I mean.
We
could do. Cutting is
it's an art in itself.
It's another one of those things. My friend Rob, I just never heard anybody. And I've heard it. And another thing that we should discuss. I had a group of hens in front of me one time. I had my best friend Jerry. His son was, with me. First turkey he ever killed.
Yeah.
There was 2 turkeys. Again, he'll vouch for this, but there was 2 turkeys up on top of the mountain. They had to be over 1,000 yards away. They were up there and they were gobbling their heads off. 7 hens came in. Got this on film. That's another thing that'll vouch for it. But I got it on film. And there's seven hens out in front of me. No gobblers. But the whole time I'm listening to them, they're all purring. Okay, and I'm thinking, well, you know, what can I do? What can I do to get this turkey fired up? He knows the hens are down here.
Yes.
They're clucking. They're making noise. So I'm just thinking to myself, I said, you know what?
You gotta make them mad.
Rob told me, he said, you know what? If you can get hens fighting, you'll pull every bird you ever thought about.
Yep.
So I got in and I started. Basically, they're right in front of me, 25 yards. So I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to piss these hens off. So I started, you know,
well, that's like a turkey fight.
Yeah, and
call.
that's exactly right, and that's what happened. Jerry's son, Dalton, he was sitting right there and watched it. These freaking turkeys start fighting. I mean, they're getting into it. They got they're spurring each other. Wings are flapping and they're flying and they're raising all kinds of cane. And I'm sitting there paying attention to them, not even paying attention. It had been about 10 minutes. And Dalton was like, oh my God, look. And I'm like, what? And he says, right there. Well, I never seen him. He had come down off the side of the mountain, off the side of this it's like a high wall, they call it, where it had been reclaimed and pushed up. He's strutting. He's 300 yards and he's strutting. And I'm looking at this bird and I'm thinking, oh my God, this should have been my bird. This bird is a giant. So he comes down and he freaking walks down. He's behind this olive bush. It's always the olive bush that's in the way.
Yeah.
I can't cut it back because it's hiding my blind.
You need it, but it's always
need
the
it,
pain
but
in
it's
the
always
butt.
the pain in the ass. It's always right there. So he's standing right there. And the hens go over to him. And then they walk away. And they take the gobbler and they walk him around the corner. And you see Dalton go from up here to
real quick,
on the floor.
Real quick.
Oh my God! You know what I mean? He's dead sure he's going to kill this bird.
Then you're just mad.
So I'm like, okay. So Dalton's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I said, just give it a minute. Just give it a minute. So they're gone. Nothing's talking. It's like they completely left. I mean,
just like
went
that.
Around the corner. They're gone. They done took him away. So I said, I got to do something. So back in the mouth call goes, and I start purring real lightly. And I purred, and then I purred like I was fighting, just like I did earlier.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I look, and here comes a hen. And it's this big boss hen. You could tell she was the boss.
She's big old hag.
Yeah, big old, yep. She comes rolling around the corner like, I'm going to kick her ass. You know what I mean? She was pissed. And Dalton's like, I said, here they come.
They're coming.
They're dragging him back. Get ready. So he's looking. Well, then he decides he's going to put on a show. Well, these hens come in, and he comes up behind them. And from behind the bushes, you can hear him drumming. Back and forth, and he's drumming. You know, he got his feathers down, and he's freaking dragging. He's drumming. He's spitting. He is raising hell. And Dalton can't see him because the blind comes up like this, and I'm looking across him, and I got the camera up, and I'm trying to get the camera adjusted, you know, and I'm got my hand all up, and I'm trying to, and I got them all on film, drumming, spitting, raising all kinds of cane. So I said, now look, I told Dalton earlier, I said, look, I'm gonna purr. I said, I'm gonna purr 2 or 3 times. He's gonna stick his head up.
And then you gotta go. You gotta go.
So he says, okay. So he comes in and he goes over to my decoys. And the hens are now walking up this little road going to this little blue building. They're walking away. And he's there right by my decoys, and he's all strutted up. And I said, "You ready?" He says, "Yep, I'm ready." I said, "Okay." 2 purrs. His head comes up, looks around. Shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. Nothing happens. Oh, my safety was on. I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna lose this bird.
All of a sudden you hear the click.
Yep.
And that bird's gone.
No, he freaking clicked that off, and the freaking bird was still there, and I freaking purred 2 more times. He picked his head up. I said, "Take him." Boom. Bird goes down. Camera's still rolling. We get out of the blind, go over there, and I'm like, awesome. You'd have to see the thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But this bird, I don't know where he hit this bird or whatever, but this bird was completely laid out.
Just
Down.
stretched.
Never moved. Okay, never moved. Didn't flop, didn't do nothing.
Really?
Just bam, he was down and out. We walk over, and I'm like, "This is awesome, man." I said, "He's a good bird." I grabbed his tail fan, and when I pulled his tail fan apart, this bird said, "Oh, no, you're not. I'm leaving this place."
He was still
alive. I mean, and I don't mean a little bit alive.
Playing goose.
I mean, he was really alive. Man, I put my knees on this bird and had him pinned to the ground, making sure his spurs didn't get a hold of me. And I'm trying to break his neck. I had no freaking choice. I'm trying to get this bird down. But you had to see Dalton's, his expression was so funny because he was looking down at the fan, and when I pulled the fan apart, the bird went, and he's like up like this. He's like, "Oh my God." It was so funny. We still joke and laugh about it. But I mean, I don't know if that bird was knocked out or what, but it literally took me 4 or 5 minutes to get that bird dead.
Oh man, that's intense. Because they got nasty claws, man. They look like raptor claws. I mean, I'll throw a picture of one of their claws in because I got them sitting over there and like.
Well, I use them as back scratchers.
They're like that big, like my whole hand, and they're like,
They're
talon. I'm like, they get a hold of you, they'll jack you up.
They're the best back scratchers you can make.
Hey, cut your skin open, man. They're like razors. I see when I the only time I really ever cut is if it's dead or I get another bird I'm trying to make angry. Sometimes it's really good to juice up a bird too if he's gobbling and won't move.
Yeah.
I'll start cutting. But now that's when I'll start throwing in that fake gobble now. If they won't come, I'll start doing like the cut, and then right after my cut, I'll wait like a second and I'll do and then try to get him mad that something else is in his territory.
Right, sure.
But whereas I used to cut all the time, now I just kind of resort back to that tree talk, quiet stuff.
See, and over the years, I mean, it's just like the cackle, just like we talked about the cackle. I think there's a right time to do it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a wrong time to do it.
Definitely.
I think more than no is probably not to do it.
Right.
You don't want to do it.
No.
You don't want to do it. It's just that, like you say, you get a bird that's hung up about 150 yards or 100 yards, and he's not coming, or he's up on a ridge. He's got some hens with him. Maybe cut to him to get him to maybe, move, or, say, okay, I'm done with her. I'm tired of messing with her because she's not
coming to me
whatever.
Or this. Yeah.
I'm going to go.
Yeah. Then that's when you gotta, it's kind of like I don't know, I can't think of a scenario, but you got to step your game up to the next level. If your basics didn't work, you got to juice it up a little more, right?
Right.
So it's like, you start with tree talk. I always do the lonesome hen, and I'll step up the hen's calls a little bit more aggressively to like maybe 6 to 7, and I'm usually done there.
Yeah.
And then if there's another hen, that's when I start cutting and doing those interrupted cut, like yelp, 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 pop, 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 yelp, yelp, yelp. They really like that, and then try to juice up that other hen. But if that's not working, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
There's like 1,000 different turkey scenarios that you need a different call for, but textbookly, it's tree talks and yelps.
Yeah.
That's like your,
Yeah, I mean,
the meat and
if
potatoes.
you read it in a book, do a series of calls, 6, 7, shut up, wait 15, 20 minutes.
6, 7 again.
6, 7 again,
right.
And go back. But exactly. You see or you got 2 or 3. A lot of times I've noticed with the cutting, if you're cutting, I pulled in more jakes than I have anything with cutting.
It's because it's like a 4
point,
like
almost
it's like a
argument.
4 point with like a bleep call. You're like, meow.
Yeah.
That monsters hears that and he's like, nope, I know you. Whereas that young stupid one is like, huh, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's over here?
Why is she all yelling and
right? I
gotta
go check this out. And the old guy's sitting there like, don't do it, man. You're gonna die. And he's like, no, I'm fine. I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But that's happens. You're 100% right. I went out one day because the turkeys were going nuts. This would be before turkey season started last year. It was like, I think it was like end of March, and my wife's like, turkeys are going crazy outside. I ran out my pajamas, went down in the driveway and just sat there and just started calling just to mess with them, because I was so excited.
Educate them a little bit.
Right, I was like, I got to let them know I'm coming here. And Jake came just sprinting right in towards me, and I heard him, and all of a sudden he stopped, and I just I wanted to see it, you know what I mean? Because I had like a whole nother month, I think, until turkey season started. So I was like, I just want to know what he looked like, And it was just a little Jake, and I stood up, and all of a sudden he takes off through the laurel, and I was like, hey, he was dumb.
He was dumb now, but now he's smart as shit.
Right.
Because that's the bird you'll be after next year, and you can get him.
Yeah. At that time, though, there was like 3 different gobblers that were sounding off. He was just the idiot that
decided to take the bait.
Right. The other ones were still gobbling all around him. I just hear the rustling, and you know the sound of the turkey once you hear it a couple times.
Absolutely.
It's a distinctive, like it's fast. It almost kind of sounds like I'll be in the woods sometimes and I'll hear the wind blow and blow leaves, and I'm like, is that turkey? Because it's not like a squirrel. You know the sound of a squirrel?
Yeah, the squirrels.
Yeah, a turkey's like.
Yeah,
it's like a rustle.
It's like they're pulling their feet through the
through the
Yeah,
it's consistent sound as it comes towards you. Yeah, and you're like, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. It's almost like wind blowing leaves, and you're like, that's turkey. I know he's coming. He's coming. That's when you get excited. But yeah, I've done that. But typically, I don't think I do anything else outside of that. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's just the clucks and the purrs. You know what I mean? And I mean, I've never really tried the turkey call, the fight. I've practiced it.
That's probably I'd say it's the only scenario I've ever had where I could do it.
Yeah.
I've had other scenarios when I've had 4 or 5 hens in front of me, but never got them to fight. I don't know why, at that point it struck me with 7 birds there. Hey, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. Cause there's 2 birds up here gobbling on the hill. And I got to thinking about it. I had already killed my 2 birds. That spot produced that year. I killed a bird on Monday, killed a bird on Wednesday, and both of them were good birds. So I was like, awesome. So then I ended up taking Jerry's son out because Jerry had his son in the blind with him all week trying to get him a bird. And I said, hey, look, the spot's hot back here. I'll take him with me if you want. So I took Dalton with me, and if I wouldn't have killed a bird, he probably would have lost that bird.
Yeah.
Because I would have said, stay in the blind.
Yeah.
Stay in the blind. And it was funny because once we got done, I said, is that gun unloaded? He said, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I said, well, throw that thing open to make sure. Well, he threw it open, and out come the empty shell. So
he never
even cranked another one in. So there's no doubt in my mind that bird would have been gone. I didn't have a gun with me. I didn't even take a gun with me because I had already, had my 2 birds. So I was just calling. But I was like, oh, my God. I think about it now. Guarantee I could have brought that other bird down off the hill.
Yeah.
Thinking about it. I can't guarantee. You can't.
You never know.
Guarantee it.
You
But
never
it was
know. But
pretty good. It was a pretty good chance that I could have maybe brought him down off the hill.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen him go after another bird after it was down?
Like down? After you shot it?
Yeah.
No.
I've seen
Brad it on videos and stuff where the other one will go pounce on it after it's there flopping around, and they'll be like,
yeah, that's what I mean. After it's down. Well, I had a scenario in down the Eastern Shore with Brad again, and he was hunting, and he should have killed that bird. I had a Jake come in early. I mean, I was probably only the third bird I ever killed. Had a Jake come in. I freaking shot him, and he hit the ground. But there was a bigger bird that was gobbling, and he came running from probably 100 yards away.
Yeah.
Ran over there, jumped on top of that bird, and beat the shit out of that bird.
Just jacked him.
Jacked him up.
Yeah.
I mean, after he was down. And
I'd shoot that one just because he's messing up my mount.
well, yeah. Well, no, it was just
I know,
Jake.
I'm just
So,
kidding.
but yeah, exactly. But that bird come out and walked right in front of Brad, and Brad will tell you. I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm looking. I said, he was a decent bird. He had probably a 9-inch beard, and great bird for Brad for the first bird. Walked right in front of Brad about 8 yards away, and I'm like,
You can smoke him.
this is going to be a hard shot. No, well, I'm thinking it's going to be a hard shot because you're literally at 8 yards away. You're shooting a dime at him. If you don't have it right on, you're going to, and I've always told him, shoot him in the head. But in a case like that, I don't shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
In a case like that, when they're that close,
Too close.
I aim right at the base of the neck.
That's what I did. That's when I blew mine away. And that's why I think I body shot him
yeah.
and jacked him so
Just,
bad.
oh, yeah. Just knocks him right
'Cause
off.
when I checked his face,
Didn't have
he
nothing.
didn't hardly any BBs.
Yeah.
It was like maybe a handful. So I think most of the blunt was to the chest. That just
Well, Brad shot at that bird. I seen the feathers fly, and he took off running and flew up into a tree. And I was like, "Oh my God, you missed that bird!" he was so devastated. I mean, Brad was so devastated. You have to ask him about that. He'll remember that. But that bird, he seemed like he was 8, 10, might have been 12 yards away. But he was close.
Yeah.
and that's a harder shot.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's a harder.
they
shot.
don't have any time to spread yet.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a good purr.
Look at that. As old as that is.
Yeah, that sounds great. I can't believe you get it to sound that.
It freaking it's keeping it in the refrigerator. You know what I mean? Keeping it in the refrigerator all those years.
Yeah, that's the way you got to do it.
I think it just I do think it helps them. That's what they say to do with them. I got that little refrigerator out in the garage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what you do.
I got a top shelf. I just put and just drop them in there.
That's
It's full. It's like your box there.
Yeah, that'd be the way to do it. And I got too many calls. I got to weed some of these out. And some of them I get, and I just hate. Like this one was a Primos call. That thing's junk.
I tried those. I tried Primos. And I mean, I'm not cutting anybody because you know what? A Primos might fit somebody else's mouth
Right.
perfect.
I don't
You
like
said
this one.
you said you had problem with the mountain hollow calls. Some of them didn't seem like they
Well,
were just right.
They, like I said, I push hard on calls. So that's why when I get calls, I'm lucky if that call is going to last me 3 weeks, and that's why and I didn't take care of these calls. That's why they all sound like crap. But I'll get a whole new set of my go-tos. So I'll get one of these and one of these, and I'll get one of these, and that's my arsenal right there. And I go back and forth with what ghost call I like. This one's okay, but the one that I dropped over here earlier is pretty much my usually go-to.
That's a mountain hollow there, isn't it? That
This
yellow
one? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's this one here.
Is that
Or is it? No, that's a cut. This
is a ghost.
Yeah, this is that raspy 4.
Raspy 4.
Yeah, this thing is really raspy.
See, usually this one's my raspy one, but it's it's just dead.
Well, you ever heard of it's called a mini blaster?
No.
Okay. It's a box call, and it's a little dinky ass box call. It's called a mini blaster. And Rob, his wife, bought him one years ago. He bought him his mini blaster.
Yeah.
It sounds like it should be this big.
Really?
I mean, that
And it's a
thing
box
has
call?
a little box call, and it sounds just great. And I was like, I got to get me one of them. So I went right to the store, bought one. 2 days later, after I screwed with it for hours, threw it out. That thing was a piece of junk. Mine
Right.
sounded like a squeak box, like it was a mouse.
Yeah.
His was just a sweet sounding. I mean, it sounded like it should have been giant, But again, it's all about the wood.
That's true.
Like this is cherry and poplar.
I don't even know what this one is.
It's probably I don't know. I mean, it's probably cherry. It looks like it might be cherry on top.
I don't even have a piece of chalk in here because I stopped using it. Model 102, use this side to imitate the gobbler.
Yeah, and then the other side's the hen. I got the same call. My father-in-law gave me his. It's just like that.
Yeah, my dad. This was my dad's. He gave me it, but I never had much luck with it. Not that I didn't get a response with it, but then, like I said, it moving around in the pocket.
Well, that's the biggest thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like on a windy day, box call's great because it goes out. But my biggest thing with the box call is movement.
Yeah,
you're doing this like a slate call. I probably bought
I don't even
5 different slate calls over the years. I know friends of mine, they won't use nothing but a slate call. Called all kinds of birds. I've never called a bird in with a slate call. Never.
I never even tried because the thing that's great about a mouth.
Yep, right.
You can't do that with a slate call or a box call.
Well, unless you got one of those little ones that,
My dad's called in a turkey like that.
Yeah.
They sound like crap.
Well, some of them do. Some of them sound good.
It's just like
Mountain Holla makes one. It sounds good.
And I'm like, that doesn't. It's even worse than that. It's almost like
Well, something else too.
It'll make a scratch sound.
Wanted to help maybe people out with if you ask or if
you
watch this. 90% of the people that make a box call, they do this. Turkeys don't.
They don't. Right. They don't do that.
Get
first,
in a rhythm.
And then hit it. Right. You got to start.
Yep. Get in that rhythm.
Before you even see.
Or don't start that. Because turkeys don't do that.
When have you ever heard a turkey do that?
They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
What?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But that's another good point is every time I hear turkeys, they're never yelping. They never make any sound. I've heard a handful of turkeys yelp over the year versus all the females I've seen. Like the ones I've seen behind the house, I've yet to hear a female yelp since I've lived here.
Most of the time I hear
just clucking. Yeah, and it's yeah.
Every once in a while you'll hear one.
It's very toned down.
Yeah.
But once you figure one of these things out, it's like a microphone. You just want to let the world know that you know how to sit there and rattle off with your call, and you're like, right. You know, and we've all done it too. And sometimes I still do it because I get bored.
Don't we all? Right.
I'm just gonna sit here,
especially when it's like boring as shit that morning, and
spout off with the call. You don't hear anything.
See 100. You think you're gonna see 20 birds, and you don't see anything.
So my dad and I hunt up in Michaud State Forest, and first year when I got that bird, I got decent at calling in the time I was working on it. By next year, I was rip roaring ready to go. I was full blown. Not awesome at it, but I felt pretty confident.
Pretty good, yeah.
And we go up there, and we're on our way up to the cabin. All of a sudden, I see a bird run across the road. So I just sit there and just start calling, and I get this guy jazzed up. Next thing you know, out of nowhere, here comes this other bird. I called, kind of like you were saying, seconds. And within 30 seconds, because I busted out my phone. And I'm sitting there recording this one bird. Next thing I know, the bird's strutting right by me. And I'm sitting there just messing with it, calling, Couldn't have been more than 20 yards. And it wasn't spooked. It was just kind of didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
He takes off running. I'm like, where's he going? He must have saw me. I scared him. No. Another bird came running up over the hill. I didn't even see him. And they just hit each other like linebackers. Boom! And they're sitting there flopping up and down, scratching at each other in the face, making all this commotion. I was all excited. You know, it was the day before opening day. You know, I'm all pumped. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go tomorrow. It's gonna, you know,
Oh yeah,
we're
man,
gonna
that's
get
what
some.
gets you going.
Here, I never even pushed the record button on my phone. I brought the phone up, had the camera up, thought I hit record, but you know how it doesn't work.
Oh yeah.
And I was so pumped. And my dad's like, "You get it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got it." And I looked down. I'm like, "Where's the video at?" I never hit record. I hit it. I thought I hit it. In my head, I hit it. So that night, you know, I was trying to go out and find birds to roost. I go over to this one spot. It's kind of a new spot for us because there's so much area up there. We never really hunted this spot for turkeys. So I'd shot a deer there with the bow that same year. So I was like, all right, well, let's go see if turkeys. And we had pictures of turkeys all over the cameras, so it's going to be good. I'm walking up there to the spot on the logging road. There's one strutting right in front of me. I was like, okay, this looks good. You know, I go up, get on top of the ridge, calling. Another one sounds out, almost down to where I wasn't the same spot, so I knew it wasn't the same turkey. And all of a sudden, a hen starts sounding off. She's doing an assembly, going nuts, and I'm making her mad, getting jazzed up. That was one of the best times I've ever had just calling the turkeys. Didn't even have a gun, wasn't wearing camouflage. I'm just messing around because I just can't help myself at this point. And I still do it. I just like to hear them. Yeah. Hence why I went down in my pajamas last year just to mess with them. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, they're out there. I'm going to go mess with them. You know? And the day I was talking to you on the phone, I knew I couldn't shoot him. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but I was like, I just want to see. You just want to see if I can call him in. Yeah. That's half the fun. If you shoot him, okay, cool. But if you don't, you at least know you called him in. That's kind of like that's 3/4 of the hunt, if you ask me. Anybody can pull the trigger. Nobody can call him in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So all this happened the evening before. You know what happened the next day?
Nothing.
Not a peep.
Done burned the woods out.
Yeah, they were all gone. And I honestly, I minimalized it because I was afraid of doing that. Like, I didn't want to blaze them all up, and then they know, oh, this idiot's walking around, you know, not going anywhere. I didn't even hear a call. Nothing. And I'm like, I'd seen or heard probably like 6 turkeys the night before, 2 fight. It was the first time in my life I'd ever heard a hen, yet alone the assembly yelp. And she's going crazy, fighting back and forth with her. And it died. And then it didn't even see a turkey, didn't hear a turkey the next day. And I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
But that's turkey hunting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've often wondered and I thought about this, and I've seen it up on the mountains in West Virginia. I think wind plays a factor, big factor on which way the turkeys go. I'm telling you, I've seen turkeys, and I know that they hear me, and I know they're there, but the wind's blowing this way, and they fly right into the wind like a goose or like whatever.
Yep.
And then they land down there. I'm not saying they won't come that way.
Right.
But I've had my best, you know, that's what, you know, I'm pretty sure that they take the wind into account when they fly down.
You got to play it for sure.
I don't know if that's a fact or not. I mean, I don't know. I'm not, you know, and I'll say it 100 times, I'm not a professional turkey hunter. I'm not, you know what I mean? I just love the hunt.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's a hobby.
I think every day is a learning experience when you're out there in the woods.
It is. And that's,
I mean, every single day.
That's the thing that I think you learn the most is all those times you get busted, there's always a takeaway. You know what I mean? As mad as you are that you screwed up, you know what not to do next time. You know, so
yeah. Well, I had to. What you're talking about, I had that happen to me this past year. I mean, I went into the woods. I was watching those birds. They were there every time. I talked to the landowner. The landowner was telling me, oh, I mean, they're out there almost every single day in that field, right where your blind's at. And I'm like, because I set my blind up like about a month ahead to make sure that they're used to it. Everything's good, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is game on. So after work, I drive, 50 minutes to get to my spot. And I'm sitting there, waiting. Next thing you know, I hear all the birds, they come in, they fly up. You know what I mean? They're gobbling on the roost, you know what I mean? Going up to roost. And I'm like, oh, my God, they're right there. They're 150 yards from me. Tomorrow morning's game on. This is game on. Next morning, they come in. I did have 2 of them come in, but they held up at like 80 yards.
Right.
I couldn't get a shot. And two of probably the biggest birds I've ever seen. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Went back there every single day or every single weekend that I had after, or every day I could hunt, go back there after. Even went and tried some of the evening hunts once it, flipped over
Flipped it, yeah,
to
all
where
day.
you could hunt all day.
Nothing.
And I mean, I hunted my rear end off trying to,
I did the same thing. That was two seasons ago. It was a spot, and I was just walking on a bike trail, and I had run into so many birds this year, and just nothing. Couldn't get it to come. And that's the thing. It's one of those things that you convince yourself you're doing everything right, but nothing's going right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's
right.
the thing where you learn the patience piece. But I went out with a buddy. We didn't see anything. We were going running and gunning all over the mountain. My dad was sitting in a spot. He didn't hear a turkey all morning. We passed him on the way out. So I was like, all right, we're going to climb this ridge. We get halfway up the ridge, and one just sounds off. And we sit there, and we tried to move up the ridge a little bit to get closer, and not a peep. Not just shut up. I went out, I think, like the next day around the same area, nothing. And then I'm going up and down this other trail, and I pass a biker, and he's like, oh, there's one down there sounding off. Go get him. I go there. He's firing up, but there's a fence, and I can't really quite figure out where he is. What I found out later, he was in the fence in a tree, almost using that as a perimeter, knowing kind of like the fence was a safe area for him. I circled around the whole entire fence and came down, and when I finally almost was about ready to turn the corner of the fence, because he kind of, again, I was within that 100 yards, so he shut down and didn't say anything. All of a sudden, he darts right out in front of me. I wasn't ready because my gun was over my shoulder, and I'm carrying all these decoys and crap. I went back to that same spot because I knew he roosted there for the rest of the season almost, multiple times. I never seen another turkey ever to this day. I've never seen another turkey there. You know what I mean? It was that's just how it goes sometimes,
Yeah, like you bump them out of there and they're done.
They're done. Yep,
Find me someplace else because I'm going out of here.
Right. So, like, I've been screwed to that point too, but it just comes down to that patience game. And I've never really, people use the crow call a lot. I've never had any luck with the crow call. I've never really gotten a shot gobble, and I don't know if it's because where I hunt, there's so many crows, they just don't give a rip, but I've never had luck with it.
I make one with a mouth call.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's, just through your lips, you know what I mean? I don't know if this and probably not a good one to do it with it.
Yeah.
Just pinch it between your lips and just let it,
Just let it blow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I have had birds shot gobble
to a crow,
but I tell you the best is, doors on a truck.
Really? Just slam it.
Slamming a door on a truck. I've had multiple birds shot gobble. One year, just a real quick story, but one of Brad's ex-girlfriends always wanted to see a turkey, and I knew where one was around the house there that had been coming down through there, and I took her out week before season, like you're saying, one of these scenarios, week before season. It's calling for rain that morning. I said, are you sure you want to get up and go? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I don't care. I don't care if it rains, whatever. So a lot of people don't understand this, but turkeys come in the fields when it's raining.
Yep.
They hit the fields.
Like to dry out.
They don't like to see, or they don't like to hear the rain, or the trees blowing or whatever, but they hit them fields. Always hit the fields when it's raining.
Yep.
I'll be in the fields. So, but anyway, we were there, and it was week before season, Saturday before season open, and I threw it in some of my hunting gear, and we went down and sat down in this spot. Well, right before we pull up, and I didn't tell her don't slam the door, but I'm telling you, it was we were there a little bit late, and she jumps out of the truck, slams the door. As soon as he slams the door, I mean, it lights up the woods. I'm like, oh my God. I said, did you hear him? She's like,
the beast.
Yeah. She says, I don't know. And I was like, well, let's go. So we ran over there, got down, sat down in this place, and it was like foggy and like hazy that morning, and I started calling a couple times, and the next thing you know, gobble come out, and I'm like, here he comes. I said, he's coming. She says, I didn't hear him. I said, you didn't hear him gobble? She said, nope, I didn't hear him gobble. I was like, okay. So a couple minutes later, I called again. Well, now he's 35, 40 yards closer, and boom,
he's on his way.
So I look out, and here he's coming down this little draw, and he's coming down in this bottom and coming back up to us. And she said, I heard him that time. I'm like, awesome. He comes down, never gobbled again. Comes down. I had 2 decoys out. He comes down and circles around the decoys. And, of course, she had never seen a bird before. And it was funny because I'm sitting there, I'm kind of looking at her, and I see this turkey starts to stretch his neck out, and I know he's going to gobble. And she's literally 8 yards in front of him. We're 8 yards away. And this turkey just, I mean, he sounds like a monster, man. I mean, he was, I mean, he had a good, 12-inch beard. And her ass cheeks clenched together. I'm telling you, she came off the ground this high.
Scared her.
She wasn't expecting it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then he stood around there for 15 minutes, and it was freaking, it's just as he gobbled, it was like he broke the atmosphere and the rain just dumped. And I don't mean a little bit, and I mean it's pouring. And I said, girl, we are not leaving until that turkey is gone.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to kill him next weekend.
You're not messing this up for me.
So he finally, after about 20, 25 minutes, he finally eased his way out of there and went on, out of sight. And we were drenched. I don't mean a little bit. I mean, we were drenched. It was like buckets. And we went back, and she was so excited. So, I mean, I was too. I mean, it was just awesome to see that. But, she was like, that's so cool. That was so cool. Never seen that before, Oh, my God, it scared the crap out of me when he gobbled. And I'm like, oh, man, this bird's dead next week.
Yeah.
I went back there next week.
Nothing.
Never
come back.
Nothing.
Never seen again.
No birds, no nothing.
That's why I told you about the story of wanting to kill this guy back here, because you get nervous. You've had that happen where you're like, I'm never see this guy again.
Yeah, right.
And he's a monster. Like, I got to get him. And I sat there and contemplated it all day. But that's the thing. If you get him to juice up at that afternoon spot, he's dead. He's dead for sure, because, you can get him to go that hard distance. I've struggled in the morning to never get to be able to close that distance. And that took me over 2 weeks to get that thing. It was 2.5 weeks it took to finally. And he was toning down now to a point where I wasn't hardly hearing him anymore. So I was like, and I had gone after this same bird multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got hung up multiple times.
But he made it worth it.
It made it, that made it better, because it was like, I got you. You know what I mean? It's like the buck over there. It's like, it's not necessarily the size. It's kind of like you said, the hunt. It's the hunt.
It's the hunt.
It's not going out there, putting a call in your mouth, squealing off for 2 minutes.
Seconds and
then he comes in and you pop him. You're like, well, there was no struggle. There was no story.
That's exactly
You know what
right.
I mean? You're like, yeah, you're glad you got a turkey. You're not mad about it, but you're not like, it's not excited. You're not. He didn't come right between you and your son and walk right between you, and then your buddy come around and boom, blast him away.
Right.
That's the story you want to tell.
Right.
You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I in 2018, I killed that bird. It was the year before you killed this one. You killed this one last year, right?
Not that one. The one I killed last year is
not that one.
He's getting taxidermy.
Okay, yeah. So that's 2019. You killed him in 2018 season or 19 season? 19.
19 technically, because this year will be 2020 season.
Right.
So
2018 is when I killed those 4 birds.
Right.
I killed 1 in West Virginia, 2 in Pennsylvania, and 1 in Maryland.
I didn't get anything that year.
And no, 2 in Maryland. I'm sorry, 2 in Maryland, 1 in Pennsylvania. And the one I killed in Pennsylvania was literally the day before the last day. It's Memorial Day.
I remember you telling me that, because I was getting all PO'd and I was hardly hunting, and I can't tell you, it's usually the first half of the season, they'll sound off, blah, 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 and then if you don't get some within those first 2 weeks, I'm usually like, well, it's over.
But see, that's what I felt that way a lot of times.
Yeah.
But I'd always push it. I'd always push the issue and try to get out there and try to kill some at the
Right.
end of the season. But that bird, I went out on a Saturday and saw that bird.
Yeah.
And they were down in the field, and they were working their way towards me, but they disappeared. I don't know where they went, but I sat there all morning. I seen them in the morning, moved on him, tried to get a little closer because he was way down in the field, got into a little point, and I sat there, and there's like a little bit of a dip in the field, and he came up to that dip, gone.
Gone.
Him and another bird. And I was like, wow, man. I mean, waited there till 12 o'clock, got up, was gone. I said, I guess, that's it. So Memorial Day, we had off work because it's Monday.
Right.
I go back into the stand, or go back into that same point. Sit there all morning. Another one of those days, just sitting there, nothing. I had a setup of, I had two hens and a jake,
Yeah.
about 30 yards out, and I just sit there, and next thing you know, at 9 o'clock, I decided to hit the mouth call. I hit the mouth call, and he gobbled.
Just
and
like
he
that.
was up behind me, and next thing you know, he came running in. I had positioned myself back around this way because that's where he was coming from, and I said, I'm going to be on him. He came running, and he ran by so fast that I couldn't actually swing on him to get on him.
Right.
And then he turned, and he was directly away from me, threw his fan up, but it was raining out. Threw his fan up for a brief second, and as soon as he did, I spun the gun around quick, and then he was in a cut cornfield, and I let him have it, and down he went. But that was an awesome hunt.
Yeah.
End of the season, and he was the biggest bird I've ever killed. I mean, he had 11 3/4 inch beard. It's a barn broom. It's
Bush.
It's giant.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, man. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was, it was just one of those hunts that you sit there all morning.
Against all the odds.
Yeah. Late season.
And it
you
comes
never
through.
hardly kill. And he came in like it was opening day,
Yeah.
freaking running. Just, like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a last little bit. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. And that makes the whole season worth it, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that we didn't review with the calls before we wrap this thing up? I mean, I feel like I pretty much hit everything that.
I think we did, yeah. The cutting, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of people that cut. People cut different. I think that it's one of those things you just got to do it when you think it's right.
Yeah, and it's kind of the best way to put it is learning it, but at the same time, you kind of learn those scenarios as you do it. Like getting up and getting busted or this, that, and the other. But I think the biggest rule of thumb to tell everybody would be the experience of learning the tree call, get your yelp down, and focus on those basics, because 90% of the time, unless I get bored or I get ballsy, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
And that's the textbook way to do it, essentially, that's going to kill you a bird, but less is more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Less is more.
I think that way too many people push it too hard, and I think the patience issue is a big thing. You got to sit in them woods. You gotta set. And sometimes you just want to leave, but that's the day that bird will show up, and he'll be there when you're least expected. All of a sudden, he shows up.
Yes.
And people, I shouldn't be saying this because really, I mean, go. I want you out of the woods. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the truth is, I mean, I think that you need to sit in the woods. Those birds are going to hit those hens first thing in the morning. You might not see anything, but then come around 9, sometimes 10, depends on if he's hitting a flock of 10 or 15 hens. He might stick around till 10 o'clock.
Yep.
I mean, long as he's there with hens, I mean, would you leave?
No. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you had 15 girls there who were waiting on you, you wouldn't leave.
Right. Right. You're sticking it out.
So, I mean, he's gonna but when that last hen's done, he's got enough energy to say, okay, I'm ready for
Round
another
two.
one.
Yeah.
Round 2, yeah, let's go. I mean, because breeding season's only a month and a half. You
Yeah.
know, so let's.
You got to take it while you can.
Yeah, so he's gonna, I
Especially
think
in
that's
Pennsylvania, it starts earlier because I'll hear them sound off 3 weeks before season even starts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the name of the game. But this is a big thing that I do to myself too. Is like I always tell myself like, all right, another 10 minutes, and then I hit those 10 minutes. I'm like, well, okay, what's 10 more?
Right.
And then
right.
I just keep tricking myself to kind of make myself stay in the woods just another couple minutes because you got to tell yourself you've been here how many times where you've stood up, turned around, and he's right there.
Yeah.
And
I think that, I don't know. I'm a true believer. I guess if you got 5 minutes can make you or break you in the woods just that quick. But at the same time, it's like sometimes I'll get up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm going to be late. I'm just not going in.
Right.
I'm just not going to mess it up. I'd rather wait till the next day or the next weekend. And of course, if you hit a bird and he's hot, you want to jump right back in the woods the next day. If you don't get him, if you get him, there might be another bird that's in there because that area is warming up for some reason. So
right. At the same time, though, you gotta it's sort of finding that balance of letting it breathe and giving it a rest and going back at it too. It's kind of like over calling versus not calling enough kind of thing. You're like, what's the balance? Because
it's tough. It's tough to know which bird's going to say what and what he wants to hear.
That's kind of like you were saying about the windy days. I don't even hunt windy days anymore because my success rate on windy days, even hearing a bird, because they don't like the sound, they don't like the commotion, they don't like not being able to hear, just like the rain. Yep. If I can't hunt a field, I don't even hunt because I hardly ever see or hear birds when the rain is. So when the odds go down, I'm not saying I won't do it. If it's a Saturday, I'm out there.
Yeah, sure.
No matter what.
Sure.
But if it's like, okay, I'm going to take the day off or this, that, and the other, go out before I have to go to work or something, I'm not messing with it. You know what I mean? I'll be like, okay, this is my downtime. I'll let them rest. And then the next sunny day, though, if you have rain or wind 2-3 days in a row, you better
be out there.
That next day it's going to be beautiful,
right.
And they're calling for good weather. They are not going to shut up. So you got to be out there when they're ready to get hot again because they haven't talked for 2 days because it was raining or really windy, So
I'm out there. If it's raining, I'm in a field.
Yeah, see, I don't really get the field so much around where I'm at. I'm in the middle of the woods, so it's like, oh, where's the field? I'm like, yeah. But I've driven past them in the rain in the woods,
and they're out there.
Yeah. Last story I'll tell. I had a buddy, and I was living at his house there for a while. We lived together for 2 years. Right there in close to York, New Salem, there's state game lands there off there to the side, and there's a big field behind his house, and the woods line was the border. So the farmer owned the that was not state game land, but the woods line was the state game land.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go out there like one day I counted 62 turkeys and I lost count. And I have a video of it where I literally panned back and forth and took all these pictures. It was at least probably 100 turkeys. I never thought it was even a real existing thing. I never thought turkeys flocked together like that. And this was probably it was the year where it was like summer started real early. Like it was warm in February.
Oh yeah.
It's like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and I'm like waiting for the season. I'm like, it's gonna be lights out. Look at all these turkeys around the area. Blah 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 blah. I heard and saw one turkey when the season actually started. 100 were there 2 weeks before.
Done.
2 weeks later, when the season started, I was down there during the weekday. I heard one in the roost one day. He wouldn't come out. I got impatient, tried to go after him, and then he flew out across the field because I was an idiot. But I sat there all morning. It was like 9 o'clock, and I'm like, well, I got to go. I got to go to work, because that was like I used to like come in late those days, and nothing. I was like, well, that was a waste of, but it sucked.
That's those years, and you waiting for that deep freeze one night.
Yeah,
because you know what happens.
They get cold and just cut up in the tree, or what?
Deep freeze when they're going to roost. The hens are going to lay eggs.
Right.
Okay. Gobbler breeds, goes lays the egg, comes back to that nest the next day after she gets bred and lays another egg.
Right.
Deep freeze in an evening, will freeze those eggs. She knows.
Ah.
So she'll kick them out of the nest.
Ah.
She'll kick those eggs out of the nest because they're dead. They're done.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I never heard this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
It makes sense.
she'll start breeding all over again.
Yeah. So it ramps her back up.
Right. She's got to be bred again in order to be able to do it. And the gobbler knows that. So now I got 2 seasons to breed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Or basically, because they'll go through. You know what I mean? Once they go to nest, they're done.
Jack it back up. I learned something.
Yeah.
Always learning, man.
I asked that. My friend Rob. That's what he told me. He said, "Yep, they'll kick the eggs out of the nest and go to a roost.
It makes perfect sense,
go,
though.
They'll go back in and lay eggs
Yeah.
because they're not laying on the eggs at night.
Yeah.
They roost.
They
jump up
and then leave them there, or that, or another animal fox gets them. I got a fox around here, so I've actually let the fox go because I'm like, yeah, he'll stir things up around there.
He'll also kill them little ones.
Yeah. That's the only other thing. I thought I actually had a shot at him during archery, and I was like, I didn't want to waste an arrow. I only had 2 arrows with me. I was like, well, I might need that arrow. I was like, I let the fox go. But all right, man. Is there anything else we got to go over?
I think that's it.
That's pretty much it.
That's it.
Well, I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, man.
I know it was a little bit of a haul, but it was fun.
It was fun.
We'll have to do it again. We'll have to get you out here and turkey hunting.
Hey, man. Anytime, bro.
I know. I'm not going to have to twist your arm for that.
I'll get you someplace. We'll
yeah,
go.
for sure. All right, buddy. I appreciate it, man.
Get you a good buck, too.
Yeah, I know. I need a real one.
Oh,
I got that on State Game Land,
That's a good deer,
I need something massive.
Hey, that's a good deer. We all want those big ones.
Right. That's why we hunt, right? All right, man.
Buddy.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yep. See you.